Penner still getting the start. And then Coach Poplawski just basically going back with the same lineup he finished as well. Kolevsky didn't start the match, came in for Huth, and is getting the start again today. So we're all ready to go here. First serve of the match will be Carrison for the Griffins. See if he can continue with his hot play from yesterday. First serve goes long, and the opening point of the night goes to the Bisons.
Yeah, just a little bit of a safe serve gone wrong there, Jared. He tried just to put a high looper in there and ended up going out the back.
Schwartz now back to serve, the first year from Selkirk. Jump float taken by Zachary. Moeller outside. Hesthammer tipped over and catches the setter Mandrick off guard. Side out Griffins. Back to serve now for MacEwan. Number 8, Kai Hesthammer. Head official Azad Hossein. Rob Lee. Bill Stevenson on the lines with Terry. Don't know Terry's last name, so we'll just call her Terry. Penner has to take that short pass. Negus tries to tip it over. Penner there in the cover. Mandrick outside. Yonker off the block and falls in on the sideline. Yonker only had 4 attack errors all of last night, but his first swing of the game today is a stuff block.
That's a little bit of a familiar play there from the Bisons with the high ball off the top of the block and no one there to cover it on the far side. So hopefully they can pick that up today and pick up those cover balls.
Hesthammer, jump float, taken by Schwartz, passed over the net. Zachary tips it over, and it's going to be a 2 hits violation on Mandrick as he was a back row setter. Tried to go up to keep it alive, went off of him and then off his back. Point Griffins. Hesthammer continuing to serve. So MacEwan didn't have too many leads last night. This is only 2 points, but got to like the early start here for Poplawski. And another block. Zachary and Vren team up to shut the door on Negus. 4-1. And Coach Pischke's going to call a timeout very early on here.
Well, the play for the Bisons here hasn't been overly successful on the attack. A couple blocks now. The only point they've earned is on a Griffins error. So they definitely want to start earning their own points and start passing the ball so setter Jack Mandrick can get his hands on it.
Yeah, and this is a very a new team here. A lot of players in unfamiliar positions from last season. Guys, not a lot of experience for the Bisons. So it's not a team where, if you're down 4-1, say with last year's group, you probably don't call a timeout there. Here, right, 4-1 can become a 3-set loss pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Right? Things can unravel pretty quickly when you have a young team.
4-1 turns into a 7-2, into a 10-3, and then it's hard to get back after that. So it's better to stop the bleeding early and then get back on track with a good pass here on this side out.
So Hesthammer will serve again after the timeout. MacEwan with an early 4-1 advantage. See if the Bisons can get a much-needed side out here. Hesthammer serve into the net. So we call those coaches' points there. We'll give one to Coach Pischke for the timeout. Made that player think about it a little bit too long. Now going back to serve for the Bisons. First-year middle, David Penner. Float serve taken there. Passed off the net. Moeller goes back to Vrend. And Spiring gets a piece, but not enough. Side out Griffins.
Just an unfortunate touch there off the block. Spiring's up there nice and high. The guy hit a nice high shot, but he just couldn't finish the block with his hands back into the court there.
I would expect both the men and women teams from MacEwan will be fairly motivated tonight, not wanting to both drop to 0-8, and especially considering UBC and Trinity Western are the next 2 teams on the schedule, and both are very strong for men and women. As Negus' shot goes off the top of the block, Vren chases it down. Carrison's going to try to put this ball over the net, and it's got just enough.
Oh.
Spiring goes up and actually attacks it. Very heads-up play there by Dustin Spiring.
That play's a lot harder than it looks there, Jared. That's on my part, I don't jump very high off the ground, so it's a very big timing play. But great defense there by the Griffins. Just an unfortunate finish of that rally for them.
Negus back to serve. Bison's trailing by 2. 5-3. Coach Pischke really chatting a lot with the players in the warm-up area. So
he looks a little, not very happy with those guys right now. I'm not sure what's going on.
Not sure what the situation
They're missing a bit of the Al Strachan magic on the bench, it looks like.
Soft block, kept alive on the Griffin side, and it looks like the setter, Moeller, on the net. I thought it was DeJonk here.
As did I. Maybe he was just...
second to touch the net, maybe.
Yeah.
Rob Lee had already made up his mind after Moeller touched the net, I guess. But a couple points in a row here now for the Bisons after the timeout. 5-4, they still trail. Negus serving. Jump float taken there by Zachary. Moeller all the way back to Carrison out of the back row. Kept alive by diving Mandrick. Libero Martins comes in. High ball outside to Jonker. Down the line. Misses. Side out, Griffins. So DeJonker, who I didn't really want to foreshadow, but difficult to have 2 nights in a row like that, like he did last night. He's had a couple errors already here this evening.
But right there's a great example of why on a free ball, easy play for the offense, giving it to the setter, it really takes a toll on the defense. Although the setter is very capable of digging the ball, and the other players in the court are able to set the ball, it just makes the team a little bit more out of system, creating that error there for the Bisons.
Moeller's serve goes into the net, so that's already 3 errors on the serve for the Griffins. DeJonker's serve taken by Hesthammer. Back to Zachary. Schwartz was late getting up. Got a piece, but it went into the crowd. Almost hit one of those chairs. Zachary now goes back to serve. Zachary's jump float. Into the net again. So the Bisons, even though they're a little bit sluggish here to start, if you only have to earn 2 of every 6 points, probably a pretty good chance they're going to do well, right?
Absolutely.
Griffin's kind of letting the Bisons off the hook a little bit here.
Means all you have to really earn 8 of your 20, almost 25 points in the entire set at that rate. So
that's great, quick mental math there, Al. On that, you didn't even have the calculator out on that one.
No, I did not.
You were just tabulating that in that brain of yours there. As DeJonker comes out of the back row and goes into the net. Kolevsky takes credit for it, but I don't think it actually ever even got over, as it was a 4 hits violation.
Absolutely. He had a pretty solid block up there, regardless of DeJonker had hit that ball a little higher. He had a tough block up ahead of him there.
So Adam, great night last night. Couple errors early on here tonight, but he'll get it going. 8-6, Griffins lead, 2-point advantage. Short float serve, and Penner kind of gets on the way of DeJonker. You can't really fault Penner too much there for the effort.
But coming across from where he is, I think that's got to be the receiver's ball 100%. Unless there's a tape trickler, that's usually the middle's go-to ball. But I think on a straight-up serve like that, that's got to be one of the receivers, unless it's one of their strategies in practice.
Well, definitely his fault, Alex. But I just said you can't fault the effort, right? You can never really get mad of a player for. I don't think you can, as a coach, be upset with a player for trying. Making a mistake when you try. I think it's ones where we don't make any effort at all, where it's unfortunate, but.
I'd rather have 2 guys crashing into each other than 2 guys standing each other.
Absolutely. Mandrick's serve goes long, side out, Griffins, 10-7.
So we're seeing a lot of missed serves here tonight. Usually that's the first night kind of thing, but do you think that'll continue out through this match, or do you think the guys are going to start serving a little bit lighter to just make a few in here?
I think they'll find their groove here. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be easier serves as Karason's serve goes into the net, so we're seeing a trend here for sure, but I think players just get a little more comfortable, and there could be some merits to being a bit of a shorter turnaround, right? They're playing at 5 o'clock tonight. They were here yesterday till 9:15. A little bit shorter turnaround than normal as Vren's tip goes into the net. I think Moeller pushed that set a little bit too far. Vren didn't have really anywhere to go, and once again we have a 1-point ball game. So pretty sloppy here start, Alex, for the first 19 points.
Not a lot of clean points to the floor here from either team.
No, especially yesterday when we saw such great attacking from Karason and DeJonker. Hesthammer, nice pass. Moeller goes middle to Vren, dug up by Mandrick. DeJonker, high ball set outside to Negus. Negus tips it over, and he's actually blocked by Hesthammer and Vren. And you got to wonder if the Bisons continue to sort of stay in neutral here, if Scott Verkane is maybe going to be coming off the bench at some point soon here.
Yeah, Garth Pischke is seeming to look down the bench right now, but that can mean a lot of things. But hopefully Scott Verkane can make a difference in this game, as he started off hot, but the team ended up doing fine without him last night. Not
a great set there from Mandrick. DeJonker just has to just tip it over, but he gets his first kill of the night as it catches the Griffins off guard. 11-10. Penner back to serve. Penner, jump float. Taken by Zachary. Middle to Vrend, and Spiring and DeJonker team up for the stuff block. And we're tied at 11.
There we go. It's nice to see the Bisons earn a point, probably for one of the first couple points here that they've earned. So Griffins just got to start making their serves, and they could open up a lead here.
Penner serve into the net. The serving woes continue as Wren goes back to the line, 12-11.
Whichever team starts making their serves first, I think might be come out on top in this one, Jared.
You could be right, Al. It's been a little bit shaky here so far. Schwartz, nice pass. Mandrick goes middle to Spiring and hits it wide. Point MacEwan. And last night we had a really good crowd, Alex, here on a Friday night. The place was pretty full, a lot of energy. A bit smaller crowd tonight. There's Jets game this afternoon. There's Santa Claus Parade as well today.
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
So I'm glad we're not downtown today. That's for sure. It's going to be a little bit ugly down there. A bunch of roads closed for the parade. Stjonker swings hard, but goes long. And it's now 14-11 MacEwan. And this has, from what I have noticed, been a bit of a trend here for Adam so far early in the year. He's had one great night, and then one night where he kind of struggles early to get it going. Now they serve him, and that's going to go for an ace. MacEwan leads 15-11. I don't know if they led by 4 points at all last night, Al.
I don't think they did. I think the most they might have had. I don't even know if they had more of a lead than 1 or 2 last night. The Bisons were kind of all over them. So passed up by Stjonker there, going outside back to him, and nice shot back through the block there, right to the middle of the court. MacEwan had no one there to answer that one.
So 15-12, Negus back to serve. We're 1 point away from the technical. See if the Bisons can try to claw back a couple here before we go to break. Negus jump float taken by Zachary. They go back to him on the left side and catches Schwartz a little bit up high. Side out MacEwan. And the Griffins lead 16-12 here in the opening set. Saturday night at the IGAC. Bisons were victorious. 3 sets to none last night. And MacEwan doing their best so far to make sure that, at the very minimum, they don't get swept once again. As we take a look into the timeout, Coach Pischke not having too much to say so far. Letting the guys catch their breath a little bit here.
Yeah, you got to think he's just telling them to keep the ball and play on the attack. They've made a few unforced errors on there, and just that, you know, if they start passing the ball a little bit better, their game will come. So I think, yeah, like you said, there's telling them to take a breather and reset and hopefully claw away at this lead.
16-12 is the advantage. Griffins looking a little sharper than they did last night. But really both teams have made some sloppy errors. I think the one big difference for the Griffins so far is the receive of Zachary has been a little bit better through these first 28 points. He's a great attacker for, first year player. Has spent most of his time last year on the opposite Canada Games team for Alberta. Spent some time on the opposite for the club team, with Canuck. And that receive, when that receive breaks down, typically a young player, you let it affect your attack as well, right?
Absolutely.
And now he has a few more responsibilities, but so far the Bisons have been serving him, and he has been up to the challenge as we come back from the timeout. Moeller goes after Stjonker. They go back to him on the left, and off the touch, side out Bisons.
I'm not sure I saw that touch there, but I must have got a piece of that outside blocker there just on the tips of the fingers. Good break for the Bisons there. They need to start getting it going right away here.
Yeah, I didn't see the touch either, but there wasn't much argument from the Griffins, and the linesman was immediately called. Magic goes pipe to Stjonker into the net, and he's getting a little frustrated as he chucks that ball back into the wall. I think he's got to have, what do you think, 2 kills and about 7 errors already in this first set?
Yeah, something like that. A ball like that, maybe a little bit of a low set, a couple balls before, a little bit of a trap set and have a lot to work with. But at the end of the day, you got to manage the ball, keep the ball in play, whether it be finding a way just to tip it over the block to the setter or anything. But the Griffins have been doing a good job of serving tough here, though, so that has played into the struggles of the Bisons quite a bit here.
17-14 after that kill from Spiring. He goes back to serve. Float serve. Taken there by Linklater. Back to Carrison. Stjonker, nice one-handed dig. Mandrick goes back row to Negus, and Negus is blocked, but it goes into the net and kept alive. Mandrick attacks it over, dug up by Carrison. Moeller goes back, Spiring with a big dig down the line. Another free ball coming here to the Griffins. See if the Bisons can earn more off the block. Carrison, right side, dug up by Stjonker. Mandrick, outside, Schwartz, and that's hit wide, no touch. A good rally there between the two teams. Bison's really working hard defensively, but Schwartz unable to come up with the big kill. That would have closed it to just 2 points. Now the gap is once again 4. The Bisons just haven't really seemed to be able to get it going this entire opening set.
Yeah, they make about, it looks like they have one touch out of the 3 being a really good touch, and the rest of it is just kind of lagging behind. So they really need to start bettering the ball in every contact.
Negus out of the back row,
so that's
hit
a couple
wide.
of hitting errors in a row there. I can really, it's kind of shooting yourself in the foot, and that goes back to just managing the the ball on the attack. If the set's not there, you have a big two-man block in front of you. You just got to find a way to keep that ball in play and let your defense do some work, as we saw they could do in the last couple rallies.
Alex, are you a betting man?
From time to time.
I bet you we're going to see Scott Vercain in the very near future.
I'll give it. I would take that side of that bet.
As all three outsides are struggling a little bit right now, I'd say Dionker, Schwartz, and Negus all having their issues. Vercain could play on either side of the court, so wouldn't be shocked to see him. I don't know if we'll see him in this set, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him start the second set.
This is where it's where that, like I mentioned, the passing earlier on. When your outsides are struggling, that has to do a lot with that passing, and I don't know if the Bisons have been able to run much middle today. So having that middle attack not in your game allows the middle blocker on the opposite side of the net really know which way you're going to go on most of the sets. So if they start passing the ball well, that would help them out quite a bit on the outside with a 1.5 block on the outside. But for now, they have to put up with two-man block and hopefully keep it in play.
Yeah, this is a tough rotation here for the Bisons, as they haven't been able to get any connection with Penner going. Yesterday, he had some nice kills in limited action. And Schwartz, probably a bit more defensive and receiver as then an attacker as that ball goes into the block. And what do you know? Well, like I said, here comes Scott Vercain off the bench.
He is coming in for rookie Owen Schwartz. Looks like he's going to be on the left side. So Scott Vercain back into pass here and hopefully bang on some balls for the Bisons.
20-14, big lead here for the Griffins. 6-point advantage. As Kolevsky will continue to serve. His jump float just gets over the net, taken there by Penner. Outside, Vercain tips it over. Nice job there to keep it alive by Hesthammer. Joust at the net, takes out the setter Mandrick. Martins goes back to Vercain, and Vercain dug up there.
Great
by
dig
Kolevsky.
by the middle.
Kerrison, beat shot over top of the block. Easy dig for Martins. Outside Vercain again, and Vercain finds the floor. Scott Vercain showing some veteran leadership here off the bench. Comes in with a couple nice swings, and now Mandrick will go back to serve. The Bisons trailing by 5. Mandrick, first-year setter from Lockport, went to high school in Selkirk. His jump float taken there by Zachary. Moeller goes up high to get it and finds Vrend in the middle. Bisons no answer for that one. Side out, 21-15. And we're going to have a substitution here. And actually, we're not going to have a substitution because
too late.
As he ripped off his warm-up shirt, his jersey came off too.
That's a couple bloopers this weekend already. The broken shoelace last night, and now the jersey mishap. I mean, not the same player. That would have been something. Maybe not his weekend. I would have just sent him home on a plane at that point. But
and Coach Poplawski kind of telling the boys here, guys, we got to have our jerseys on in the warm-up area. Kind of comical, though. I mean, it was pretty funny. He went to run in and he didn't have a jersey on.
Yeah,
that would be number 14, Lucas Christen, second year from Edmonton.
Yeah, it's like the classic leaving the house with no pants on nightmare that people have in TV shows for some reason, but
I'm sure that's happened to you a couple times.
No comment.
Vercain with the dig. They go back to him on the pipe, and that's into the tape. Vercain arguing, but there's really not much argument to be had. I mean, you could see it from up here, and he's still upset.
Yeah, well, that pipe really has not been flowing well for the Bisons. They've been trying to use it as a kind of get-out-of-jail-free card, I think, and they haven't been very successful with it yet. 22-16.
Griffins' big lead. Jonker finds the end line, so a couple better swings as of late from Adam.
Yep. Well, I think it helps a lot that the passing the last 3 or 4 points has been a lot better. Vercain has done a good job coming back onto the court off the bench and just playing his role properly and not really making too many errors.
Zachary down the line off the arms of Mandrick.
That's a great shot there by Zachary, and now we're going to see a double sub from the Griffins.
Yeah, checking in will be number 3, Jordan Peters. He will take out the setter Moeller. And coming in the back row will be number 5, Caleb Weiss. Weiss is a first year, Peters in his second.
So we did see this double sub action last night for the Griffins. I think it'll be a very successful piece of their game today as they have a nice lead. They can let those guys kind of get their flow going and hopefully be able to get some real production out of them.
Jonker's tip finds the floor as Weiss, who just subbed in, was kind of caught off guard, and now we're going to see Kerrison and Moeller check back in. So quick night's work for that one set there for those
Good old
two.
one and done.
Yep. I guess now back to serve. Bisons are going to need a big serving run here. What would Dan Gilbert say you need to have happen here, Alex? You were telling me yesterday on some math, obviously.
Well, the Bisons technically would have to go 7-0 to take the set clean, which is quite a feat. But even a 7-1 would be fine to have a lead, or even a 6-1 would tie it up at 24. So really, still we need quite a great effort from the Bisons here. But the Griffins seem to be in the majority of control of this set.
Some ping pong there on that ball after the block, but it does land on the Griffins' side. So there's 1 point. 23-19 now. As Negus will serve again.
The Bisons can get it up to a 23-21. The Griffins are really going to start feeling the pressure, I think. But as of right now, the Griffins feel like they have a nice gap, and they can take this set to the end.
Passed up by Linklater, back row Karrason, and that one's hit long. No touch. Griffins looking for a call. But that one was well above the block from what I saw from up here. We're going to have a timeout.
Yep, I was just about to say they might be thinking about that timeout.
Now, here's the interesting thing about those runs, obviously, is now it's no longer 7-0, right? Now it's just
a 3-1 even.
Yeah, 3-1 gets you tied, right? And you, or sorry,
maybe a 4-1, but
4-1. Sorry, okay.
So 3-1, you're alive.
4-1 gets you tied. 3-1, you're still in it. But now, those odds are way better, and the probabilities, they reset after each rally.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not like the difficulty goes up to score each point. Each point, the odds of scoring each point are the same every single time. It's just obviously it's difficult to be able to score that many in a row. So now, right, if you're here 23-20, you get one more. Hey, 23-21. Right now we're getting it close. 23-22. Oh, it gets real close, right?
Absolutely.
And especially knowing that when you're 0-7, right, you have that sort of thought process in your head of,
if we mess this set up,
Yeah, and it's totally different than you being 7-0 and just thinking, guys, literally, we're in great 23-20. We're in great shape. You're in great shape if you're up 23-20. But it's not as good as 23-17 or 23-16, which it was, but you can't carry that weight forward. As we get a nice soft block, Bisons continue, tipped over by DeJonker, takes Zachary out of the play. They go back row to Karrason. Karrason's roll shot.
Oh, you got to hope that gets dug up there.
That is Negus there, caught watching. He's going to want that one back, and now 24-20. Griffin's in pretty good control here to try to finish this set off, up 4 points.
Yep. That's where that ball management on the Griffins came in really handy. Keep a ball in play, you always have a chance to score a point.
Madrick goes back to Spiring. He tips it over. And Karrason finishes it off, and the Griffins take the opener 25-20 and break the streak of consecutive sets for the Bison teams, as we were here on the webcast last night. Both men and women won 3-0. So that, I bet you, Al, just because we're going to probably see 2 5-setters tonight. Just to even things out, we'll be here real late tonight.
Yeah, you know what? That's okay. It's all for the game, right?
Yeah, it started an hour earlier tonight, so we're starting only at 5, so we might get out of here at the exact same time.
But we might need to order some pizza if that's what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you, that pizza we had last night after the game was a little crispy. It was a little crunchy. Not too much flavor, wasn't too much sauce.
Yeah, it was like leftover dry pasta. Just nothing good about it, but you still ate it.
It wasn't good. I didn't enjoy either, but we did both have 2 slices. So who are we to say? If it was that bad, we didn't have to finish the first slice or go back to grab one more.
I actually ate my crust as well, so that's just add insult.
I threw my crust out. I drew a line somewhere.
I did notice that. That's why I felt I needed to come clean.
We're not going to mention where we ordered the pizza from. Well, we actually didn't order it at all. And I'm not going to say. I'm
not going to say we found it.
But technically, we kind of did.
There was pizza available to us, and we seized carpe diem, as they say.
But as we were yammering on here about nothing, there was a serving contest here. A young fellow had to serve that into that little white box there, and he was literally inches away from landing in that square there. That was pretty impressive precision serving.
So if you're the Griffins here, what do you guys think that your strategy is coming into the second set after successfully winning your first set of the weekend?
Well, I think you got to keep the confidence of Zachary up on the receive. And he's probably their most dynamic attacker, I would say, on the outside of the 3. I think Vrend is probably their best overall player. But they seem to have trouble getting him the ball. just with the receive issues we saw yesterday.
Absolutely.
But if Zachary, if he can keep his receive to a level where he's staying confident, his attack's going to continue to be better. Kerrison was pretty much the same in that set as we saw yesterday. He was solid yesterday.
And I can tell you how good they've been doing this set in just a second as the stats are printing out in front of me here.
Yeah, excellent.
Fantastic. All right, so what we got here, Kerrison with 2 kills and 2 errors today, so hitting at a 0% efficiency. And then, Zachary, as you mentioned, 4 kills on 9 attempts without any errors, so that's doing his team well. And Vren as well held to 0% with 2 kills and 2 errors. So,
but they got him 5 balls, and I think that's a big difference.
Yeah.
They were able to get him the ball at least to make things a little easier for everybody else. But as you see, DeJonker there, 6 kills, 5 errors, 13 attempts. So 6 kills, I mean, is not a bad set.
No, that's a great set.
But just not quite as efficient as we saw last night.
Absolutely, and the Bison's only getting 4 balls into the middle, which isn't very, very many.
And Owen Schwartz having his struggles there, 0 kills, 2 errors on 3 attempts, which is explain why we saw Vercain come in. So Pischke sticks with the same lineup that finished the second set, with Vercain out there instead of Schwartz.
Yeah, both teams not hitting overly efficient in that last set, like we were mentioning. The Bison's hitting a negative 3%, and the Griffins at about an 18%. So we'd like to see those teams attack a little bit more efficiently this set, but I think that will have to do a lot with the serve-receive. And I think the Griffins are doing a great job of really targeting left side Adam DeJonker. So hopefully he can start passing the ball a little better, and Scott Vercain and Kyle Martin's going to support his seams and take some balls and pass some balls to the net.
If you see Negus get the block to start at the second set, 1-0 Bisons. But something that's interesting, it sure seemed, Al, like we had a lot of missed serves in that set, but the Griffins missed 5, the Bisons missed 2. I think a lot of those came almost, though, in the first 10, 15 points.
I think like 8-8, there was all those missed serves in one.
And after that, we didn't get too many more. As Kerrison's roll shot dug up there by Martins. Mandrick goes outside to Vercain, and Vercain finds the floor. And I just can't imagine a scenario where the Bisons are going to win a lot of games without Vercain on the floor. I just feel like he'd have to be a big part of most nights. And that was what was a bit surprising yesterday, was he didn't really play a role in that win, as Schwartz spent a majority of time on the floor. But seeing him get a couple kills now off the bench as Negus' attack goes wide. But I guess the question would become, if both Schwartz and Negus are struggling, where do you go next, right? And I guess Loeb would maybe be the next guy in.
Yeah, based on prior weekends, Loeb had been starting on the right side. I think he's one of those guys that gets in there and does his job, but won't necessarily put up the big numbers like a Vercain or a DeJonker, but that's okay. These younger guys just need to find their spot on the court, do their job, earn the team some points, and just stay at least neutral and not overstep and make too many errors. So I think that's if that's what the Bisons need to do, they need to train some depth, and that's a great way to do it.
Vercain spin serve comes back over the net. DeJonker looks to tip it over, but it's kept alive. And it's Hesthammer down the line with the kill. Side out Griffins.
Looked like setter Jack Mandrick might have cheated up the line a little bit early on that one.
Yeah,
he was right at the attack line. A little bit of a dangerous play for him there.
Could have got one right off the beak.
I did see one of those on Instagram. One of those volleyball accounts that posted him. He got one right in the face over in Calgary a few weekends ago. So.
Mandrick did?
Yep.
Okay, I guess he hasn't learned his lesson yet then.
Absolutely. So that's why I bring it up there, Jared. Especially with kids these days being very active on the internet, the last thing you want to do is be at
hold on a sec. Kids these days? I mean, you're barely old enough to be able to say that.
Hey, people don't know that. I'm okay. Either way, you don't want to be on the receiving end of all of those goofy things on the internet.
Fair enough. Mandrick diving pancake attempt, but wasn't able to come up with it. Side out for the Griffins. That's the easiest way to make yourself sound old, is those 3 words uttered in a row together. Kids these days. Yeah.
Well.
You barely have a mustache, and it's Movember.
Well, I had a job interview the other day. I had to shave clean. It's a good look.
Well, you're... Okay, fair enough. Spiring kill in the middle. Are you saying your employer doesn't support Movember?
That's not what I'm saying. I just don't grow a good enough mustache to be a spokesperson. I do support the cause, but... unfortunately, I don't think I have what it takes to be a model for it.
Okay, no problem. You're more of a hand model, like George Costanza on Seinfeld.
Absolutely.
Vercain diving save. Martins bumps it outside to DeJonker, rolls it down the line. Kerrison's there with the dig, and they go back to him out of the back row.
Give and go.
And Spiring and DeJonker team up for the block. And we're seeing a little bit more life here now out of the Bisons. They have a 6-3 lead.
little give-and-go action there. Did not seem to pan out for the Griffins, which is too bad because that's a really good play, you know. Short pass, short set, catch that middle blocker off guard, and boom. But it looked like Spiring was right there to shut him down.
Carrison again out of the back row. This time he catches the outside hand of Jonker, and it goes down. Side out for the Griffins, 6-4. Bison still leading by 2. And it will be the setter, Moeller, who's back to serve. You see the girls' teams kind of on the side of the court there. They're getting ready for their match, which will come up after this one. Jonker, big kill, and he's starting to look a little more confident out there.
Yeah, getting his mojo back.
Yeah, a little bit of chatter out there on the court.
Yeah.
Kind of going back and forth with the Griffins a little bit, which, it's all fun. It's all in good spirits.
For us.
Yes. We gave a jinx there as that serve goes into the net. I think for players at this level, right? It's not too personal. It's
absolutely
maybe at the time, but when the game's over, you leave it there.
Yeah.
You move forward.
So
now it's serving. It's Zachary's serve, taken there by Vercaine. They go back row to Negus, and he finds the floor. Side out Bison. So what were you saying, Al? Sorry.
I was saying DeYonker has had a couple kills in a row here without any errors, so that's a good start to the second set here. The team really needs his help, as they did struggle on offense clearly. And Vercaine, pitching in his part with a couple nice digs and a couple of good kills in this set.
Koleski in the middle. That's one of the few times we haven't seen him get a ton of action attacking, but he gets the kill there.
He didn't get any sets last set, just a service ace and a dig on his stat line for the last set.
Bison still have the 2-point lead. Koleski serves. Taken there by Martins. They go 30 to Penner, and that's D-Penn's first swing of the night. Gets a kill. Big Dave, much to the delight of his mother, Janet. You can see her right in the front row there, just above the B and the A. Cheering on David. Nice soft block there.
Oh, that's a fish on there, Jared.
And nice roll shot, but Jonker's there. Martin steps into set, and Negus hits that wide. So Negus having a bit of a rougher night tonight as well. Was fairly solid yesterday, I think, but would be a negative kill efficiency so far this evening.
Yeah,
as a hitter, you never want to be a minus. I think that's a bit scary, right? When basically what we're saying is when you hit the ball, we lose points.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bit scary.
Yes, and so on that last play that he hit out of bounds, that's just a classic example of just wanting to go after the ball a little too aggressively there. I do appreciate the aggressive effort, but you just got to recognize the times when to go for it and when to maybe just keep it in play.
Big serve by Vercaine, taken by Zachary. Went high up to the rafters, and then the Bisons are on the net. I think the Bisons probably would have liked a better effort after that big serve. They felt like they were
and a great
put
dig.
themselves into control, but then they're on the net, and they lose the point.
As a libero, it seems every time you get a nice, really hard dig, that the second it goes up in the air, somebody's on the net.
Mandrick inside to Jonker. It's dug up by Carrison. Oh, that's not a great set. And looked like there was actually a centerline violation on Zachary there, but play continues. Penner's there on the cover off the block. Back to Negus. And Negus goes off the block and down. Mulder can't come up with it. Side out, Manitoba. Penner. Back to serve. Bison's leading 11-8. David Penner, a graduate of Westgate. Jump float there. Not a great pass by Linklater. Free ball comes to the Bisons, and then Jonker, much to the dismay of Coach Pischke, you can see in the corner of the screen. Oh, he's got the clipboard behind his head. Gave her the old 1-2 tappy-tappy there. Not too pleased. And now he looks down at the bench and says, what the heck?
Yeah.
And it's always funny as the coaches, right? I mean, these poor guys on the bench, they want to be out there. And coach, guys on the floor make a mistake, and we all do this as coaches, and we turn to the guys on the bench and we say, what are we doing out there, right? What are we doing? Well, meanwhile, right, they had nothing to do with it. There's the guys on the floor who are the ones who made the mistake, but coaches, that always happens. And then the guys on the bench say, well, then put me in.
And he says, oh, right? Okay, settle down. That's enough.
I didn't mean that.
No, is that what you got from that?
Zachary off the block. Negus there with the dig. Outside to Jonker.
Oh, that's a great dig.
Nice dig there by Linklater. Carrison goes high ball, bumps that to Hesthammer. Tough ball to hit, but rolls it into the net. And Manitoba's now opened up a 4-point lead, and Coach Poplawski's going to call timeout.
There we go. Like I said earlier, the life of the libero, a great dig off of DeJonker's attack, but just unable to keep the ball put the ball over the net on the offensive effort. So that will result in a timeout.
Oh, well, timeout here. We'll take a look at the kill leaders across the Canada West Conference coming into the weekend.
Yeah, as of November 15th.
Yeah, so not including last night's matches, but Alberta, Tariq Sani, number 1. They lost in 5 sets to UBC, who Irvan Brar,
That's
one
a
of their
big,
top players, is second
W.
there. So those were the 2 top kills per set leaders in the Canada West Conference playing against each other. UBC was victorious in 5. We see Scott Vercaine in 3rd place there from Manitoba. Daubert, who's playing Winnipeg, Thompson Rivers, they lost last night to the Westmen. Lepke, Trinity Western, 3.73. They were victorious over Mount Royal. And Tyler Schmidt next in line there. So a lot of players who were closely grouped in the kill leaders stats here were playing against each other this weekend, actually. As we get back to the court after the timeout. I knew you didn't have that shot, Al.
No, I did not.
I had no hope for you in that one. Negus, jump float. Oh, and that ball goes backwards off the pass from Linklater. Karrison bumps it to Zachary. He's just going to put it over the net. Negus there to keep it alive. Magic, middle, Spiring, and he gets the kill. Bisons now lead 14-9. So a much better set here for Manitoba. Looking a little bit more like they did yesterday.
Yeah, a lot cleaner of play, you might say. Just way less bad errors, making their serves, passing the ball a lot better, and attacking the ball much, much better.
And
I just
Negus,
had to say it.
Yeah, right on cue. Puts that one long. Now back to serve is the setter Moeller. Moeller serve taken there by DeJonker. Pipe to Vercaine, and we touched on this a little bit earlier here, Al, about how the pipe is not something that the Bisons really run a lot of, and they're trying to incorporate it in, but still just having their struggles finding that connection. As now Vercaine takes the ball outside to Jonquier and just finds the sideline. That was a great shot. Coach Poplawski wanted it called out, but I do think it clipped the sideline. And now Grant Leggery will check in to serve. We haven't seen him at all so far this weekend. Hal, what can you tell us about Grant, being a former teammate of his here?
Grant's one of those guys. He's a really good glue guy on the team. He hasn't seen a lot of court in the last couple of years, but I think he has been putting in a lot of hard work. And usually he's a spin server, but it looks like he's going to the float. So hopefully he can get the guys a dig here. He would bring a lot of energy to this team if he could make a big play for them.
He's a walk-on from Northwest Ontario. Went to Atikokan High School, I do believe.
Yep.
So made the team last year as a walk-on. And he's actually going to stay in and pass now for DeJonker. So that's interesting.
He has been struggling a little bit on the receive end, as we saw last set and a little bit of this set. So maybe it's just a little situation of trying something new. They didn't win the last set, so.
Now, how do you feel about Grant's ankle socks?
You know what? Last year we did give him a pretty hard time about that because, you know what? They're not even quite ankle socks. They're like about an inch and a half too high. But
they're like a mid-cut.
Yeah, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with the good old mid-cut, but.
No, I think there is. Yeah.
It's just the etiquette kind of thing. But
yeah,
you know
it's just not a. I mean, I don't want to be hard on the guy. I'm sure he's got family watching, and I'm sure he's a nice guy. But
he's a great guy.
He needs new socks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe we'll instead of that T-shirt cannon, we'll
put some socks. I mean, all the guys that are playing in the warm-up area right now, they're just a little bit off camera. But I mean, those 4 guys, those are meeting the standard, right?
Absolutely. Just like all he needs is an extra maybe an inch and a half of cotton and a little bit of polyester mix, maybe if you wanted.
Yeah, I think a good cotton poly mix is now the sock du jour.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And 1% spandex for that elastic.
No, you need a little bit because you don't want to have the you don't want to get that loose top on the sock.
No, that's worse than the bacon neck on the T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean they stress that in the commercials, but what about the loose top sock, right?
Yeah.
The frumpy sock, and then it just droops down. Right, you got a droopy sock.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping people at home don't have us on mute right now.
Hope they haven't turned it off altogether. Mute. They were on mute a long time ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
They turned it back on at the timeout just to see what we were talking about and immediately just turned it right off.
Well, for us, all the Manitoba fans seem to be at home, so
That's right. They're watching. They're at the Santa Claus parade with this, watching this on the iPad.
they're Discman.
Yeah.
All
I was so excited when I got my first Discman.
I had one of those cassette mans, whatever you call
It's
those.
a Walkman. That's the original title. It's not called a cassette man. It's called a Discman because the Walkman. Oh man, kids these days. All right, we're having fun. 16-13. Koleski's serve. Taken there by Vercain. Penner can step in to set him. And that's a nice dig there by diving Zachary. And there's actually going to be a net violation on the Griffins.
Deep Penn saucing out some juicy nectar back to Vercain. Just an impressive play to take charge on that ball.
So it's a 4-point advantage once again for the Bison. 17-13 they lead. Mandrick back to serve. And Mandrick's sister, she plays pro in Europe. She might be watching, so let's give her a shout out if she's tuning in. I have no idea what time it is there right now.
Usually it's about 7 hours to 9 hours plus.
Yeah, so if it's like 6, she might still be up. You never know. Tuning in late to watch her younger brother play.
Yeah, or catching it on demand in the morning. So
that works too. Yeah. Either way, if she's watching, we gave her a shout out. Subbing in here, Al, we got for the Griffins, number 14, Lucas Christen. So this is, unfortunately, if you missed the first set, Lucas tried to come in the first set. And it was kind of comical. I'm sure at the time it didn't seem very funny, but they can probably laugh about it after. But he ripped off his warm-up top, and then his jersey got caught in the warm-up top. So when he ripped off his warm-up, all he was wearing was the Under Armour, and he tried to sub in without a jersey on.
Thank goodness he had that Under Armour on. That would have been a pretty funny sight.
Yeah, it would have been like Jim Schreier in the Red River Gym circa 7 years ago when Dan Gilbert made him take his shirt off so his libero could wear a contrasting jersey. That's a story for another time and another place. Back to action. Penner, big-time stuff blocked there by Vrend.
Looks like the Griffins are finding a little bit of energy and chipping away at that 4-point lead that they had at the technical timeout here. Going on a 4-1 run here to kind of close the gap a little bit. This could be danger for the Bisons.
Manitoba was in total control there, but it chipped away now. It's just 1-point game. It's Vercain right side, and that's dug up by Zachary, but it goes almost into old Harold Lobb there, but he let it go.
To opposite field.
Yeah. And now we're going to see Karrison check back in, as well as Dejonkir will check back in the front row. Leggery sits down.
Garth gives him the nod as a good job. It's always a good feeling as a rookie. Sometimes it can be a little hard on the boys, but you know what? That's always a good feeling when your coach gives you the nod after you're coming off.
Well, I mean, I don't think he really did, he didn't touch the ball a lot other than serving, or the ball didn't really find him, but just to feel like you're a bit more a part of the action, right? When you're a younger player, getting them in there, giving Dejonkir a bit of a rest. Right? I mean, he might just be a little bit exhausted after how many swings he had yesterday.
I did say that he needed an ice pack after the game. He was absolutely tugging on balls yesterday.
But missed serve there from Vercain as Hesthammer now goes back to serve for the Griffins. They trail by 1. Vercain's tight pass, and Zachary puts it down. 18-18.
Looks like the Bison serve receive is starting to come apart, so it looks like Owen Schwartz is going to be checking back into the game for Scott Vercain here, maybe just to get a pass. But based on history, if history rewrites itself here, maybe Owen Schwartz will stay in for the remainder of the set and maybe into the rest of the game.
He could. Yeah, he definitely could. I wouldn't be surprised if Vercain checks back in the front row, but we'll see what happens here. And, the interesting thing about this is Coach Pischke needs Vercain to be a left side on this year's team,
he
right?
He does,
but
absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised, really, as we see that serve go long. So maybe Pischke just even trying to break up the momentum a little bit there, too. But if Vercain was on the right, he might be their best attacker on the team if he didn't have to worry about passing.
And then have Adam and Schwartz pass the ball.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic where, as a left side, Scott might be struggling at passing. But, if you let him play on the opposite, he really might kind of be able to lead the way offensively for this team.
What I have seen this team do in exhibition, go ahead and comment on that big block.
Vrend, 2 huge blocks in the last couple points as Dejonkir tried to swing his way through that one. 19-19.
But what I have seen in the past, and especially in exhibition, the Bisons had a lineup where Schwartz was on the right with Vercain and Dejonkir on the left. So that could be an option. They left him in to pass on the right side in the back row. So it looks like the Bisons are in need very badly of a good pass as they've given up their 4-point lead and are now down 20-19 and timeout Bisons.
Zachary is just having a blast up there in the front row as he's putting down another overbump.
Yeah,
and this is a pretty important situation. Like I said, this is a kind of a crucial time of this match where 2019, the Bisons have really been in full control this entire set, but now Grant MacEwan has taken the lead. And if the Bisons fall down 2 sets to none, I don't like their chances to come back here. And this is a game that, I mean, MacEwan obviously at 0-7. They need as many wins, to kind of try to get things going as possible. But they weren't in the playoffs last year, right? I'm sure they had high hopes this year. But if you're the Bisons, you got a couple guys still left from last year's team that made nationals. I mean, you're at 2-5 right now. It's you're in a bit of a tough spot. You got 2 tough weekends coming up still before the first half's over. You got to kind of find a way to win this match tonight.
Absolutely.
Get back to 3-5 and try to hopefully maybe get to 500 before, at the end of the first half, maybe. But we'll see what happens here. Still some game left to go in this second set, 21-20, and that will certainly help as Moeller was caught out of position. Easy side out there as DeJonquier just basically rolled it over the net. We're tied 21-21 as Negus goes back to serve. Negus jump float. And it's tipped over by Moeller. They go spiring in the middle. He tips it over. Harrison's there with the dig. Outside to Zachary. And that's hit long. And he wants a touch. No touch called. I think there was a touch from... in my opinion, I think there was a touch.
This was the men's league. It is a courtesy to call your own touches, but at this point in the game, the Bisons can take every point they can get at this point. So
now, Al, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe I am wrong. But was the score not 21-20 before, and now it's 21-20?
No, it was 20-19 there, Jared.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was wrong.
The chances that the scorekeepers and myself would have been wrong on the score. I mean, I understand if I was wrong. I think I opened the game when it was 1-0, and then it was 4-1 Griffins. I just went +4. So, I mean, hey, holding myself accountable.
You got it all cut up there at once. Yeah. But, I mean, as we do look at the scoreboard, it is worth mentioning that there is a brand new video scoreboard here at U of M that, unfortunately, we can't see on the shot, but maybe in between sets.
I'll pan over there so we can pan over. But
there's some great videos that are being used before the game and in between the games. But in game right now, they don't have anything set up. But I wouldn't be surprised if the plan is to possibly maybe have some replays or highlights or something on the video board.
I don't think we have the camera set up over the facility here just yet.
No, but, not quite yet. But I'm sure that
it's only up from here.
With a video scoreboard of that caliber, I'm sure that would be in their plans.
Oh, absolutely.
Bison's back on top by 1, 21-20. As Negus will serve after the timeout.
Great serve.
And it goes over the net. Moeller. And the Bisons got totally caught napping, though, as Schwartz, the only player to move on that dump. And I don't think he got it, Alex.
I don't, but I'm predicting a yellow card here for Coach Garth Pischke. He is known to get a little bit fired up.
No, he's taking it easy tonight. He's going to Rob Lee, but he's not going to risk anything here in this situation as they go back to spiring in the middle. But I do think it was down, but it was such an easy dump, Alex. I mean, the ball had to go up before it came down. He really kind of just lobbed it over, and everybody was
down
caught.
42 stairs here and probably got that ball. Maybe not, but it's always fun to think about it.
So 22-21 Bisons. DeJonquier serve. Passed off the net by Hesthammer. Moeller goes outside to Karrason. Off the top of the block.
Better.
Schwartz with the save. Middle to spiring. He tips it over.
Great dig.
Linklater with the dig. Karrason. Schwartz with another dig. Mandrick. Pipe. DeJonquier. Not a great set, so he just sets it over. And now it's going to be Karrason for the Griffins. And he gets a piece of the spiring block.
And there's another example of that poor pipe set. I mean, that was kind of his only option with Schwartz doing a great job of coming around and getting that offside blocker dig. But that was their only option, but it looked like the set was a little too far and low for Adam to really take a good pull on it. So point goes to the Griffins.
Like I said, the last few years, the pipe hasn't been a big part of the Bison's offense. And they're trying to incorporate it here a little bit more tonight, but just not on the same page as Vercaine comes back into the game. And he's dug up there by Hesthammer. Zachary back row, and that's hit long. Griffins looking for a touch. And it seems to me that the Griffins are looking for a touch on pretty much every ball that's hit long at this stage now of the game. And I'm not seeing them. I'm not really thinking that they're that controversial.
There's a lot of square footage of dark court there to hit at, so maybe it's time to start thinking about that.
9 by 9.
I was gonna say about 81 square feet, or is it? How many meters is that? We're in Canada here.
Al,
Either way.
you impressed us earlier with that mental math.
Hey,
but,
I know my limits. I took a step back here.
Yeah, it's best to just shut her down on that one.
Yeah.
As it's now tied 23-23. Koleski goes back to serve.
Don't want to give up any free points of any kind in this situation, either team. And it looks like Garth Pischke looking down the bench for a potential sub if this point doesn't go their way.
DeJonker out of the back row. Recovers his own attack. Poplawski's wanting a carry ball, but Vren gets the block on Verkane, and it's now set point opportunity here for the Griffins, 24-23. And Coach Pischke will call timeout. The Bison's down by 1. But this is a pretty crucial part of the game here, Alex.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a really big play for the Bisons here, going down, has the potential to go down 2-0 in a pretty important match for them on their 2017 calendar. So I'm sure they really are focusing on getting a good pass on this side out, something that they haven't really been able to do in this last couple sets of this match. So I'm looking for them to set Scott Verkine on the left side on a good ball. But hey, you know what? If setter Jack Magic is pushed back, I'm thinking it's going pipe to Adam DeJonker, and hopefully they can get their first pipe kill of the match. So we just want to pan up here to that new scoreboard you were referring to. It's a nice little scoreboard with the score up there. So just a little update for everybody at home.
Al.
So
good work.
And now we're back to the action, and that's
that thing's set real tight. It's like a creaky old set of stairs in a house in Wolseley.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to pan her down a little bit there, Al. There we go. Now we're talking.
All right. Oh, yeah, the sponsors in there. That's right.
24-23 set point for the Griffins out of the timeout. And that serves sails wide. Good lead there by Verkane. So now it's Magic back to serve. And Brendan Warren, who did not play yesterday, checks in the front row here for Penner. Warren is a very solid blocker.
And I think that's what Garth Pischke has on his mind here. He wants him to finish up a nice block.
No, that camera. Mandrick's tough serve, taken there by Hesthammer. You go back to Karrason.
Great dig.
DeJonker with the dig. Mandrick goes outside to Verkane, and he is absolutely slammed by Vrend. That's a big block.
He's got a couple of those tonight.
He
He's
has.
really penetrating that net very strong.
A good aggressive swing by Scotty there, but nowhere to go as he was slammed on that one. Set point opportunity again here for the Griffins. Go back to Verkane, and he tips it over. Linklater with the save. Warren with the pass. They go back to Verkane one more time, and he finds the sideline.
Griffins again asking for a free one, but Verkine made no mistake on that cross-court attack.
So we're tied up 25-25. The Bisons have battled off 2 set points here already. And now we're going to see Verkane, who hasn't made a serve yet in this set, makes that one. Pass tight to Vrend.
Vrend is absolutely having a set here. Nice attack line bounce for the Griffins. That really helps their momentum in this end of this set.
Yeah, I told you earlier in the match, Alex, I thought Vrend is the best player on their team. Just weren't really able to really use him, get a lot of volume, but they've done a much better job tonight than they did yesterday. So now we have set point opportunity number 3 for the Griffins as Hesthammer goes back to serve. Jump float, pass there by Verkane. Mandrick outside, DeJonker, and a nice dig there by Zachary. Going to be a free ball opportunity coming here to the Bisons. And they go DeJonker again, not a great set. And the Griffins are caught completely out of order here as they tried to move their blockers around there, Alex, to get a better situation on DeJonker. So they had Mulder in the middle with Vrend on the right, and it seemed to just kind of put them completely out of sync. And I don't fault Poplawski for trying to make that switch, but what happens a lot of the times is the players just are uncomfortable in that situation. And it easily could have worked great, but the problem was DeJonker never got a good enough set to hit. So it was always this kind of scrambled play. And the Griffins were caught out of order. Now they get a kill from Vrend in the middle. He goes back to serve. Set point opportunity number 4 for the Griffins, 27-26.
It's unfortunate here for the Griffins if they can't secure this set point that they're losing Vrend in the front row. He's done a great job in the 20s here to get a bunch of kills and blocks for his team.
Vrend's float serve goes long. And they've continually just let the Bisons off the hook here with some errors. And I'm going to go on the record here, Al. I'm going to say whoever wins this set wins the match.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
Okay. It's a handshake bet. No other stakes than the handshake.
All right,
all right. Just for pride.
Yeah.
Negus' serve, passed up by Linklater. Outside, Zachary, off the block of Mandrick and wide. Side out Griffins. And they now have another opportunity to take this second set, as it's 28-27 with the setter Moeller going back to serve. Got to think this ball is going to go to Jonquier here.
Oh my goodness, if I'm head coach Brad Poplawski here, I am pulling my hair out. That is 3 set points in a row where they've served the ball in the net or out of bounds. That's just, as a coach, that is unacceptable especially a pivotal set like this. You can't be giving up free points on the serve when it's down to crunch time.
Linklater's pass off the net. Go back to Zachary, and he's blocked there by Mandrick. Great play there by Jack. They switched Vercain and Mandrick to get a better block on Carrison, and Mandrick ends up getting the block on Zachary. Gotta love that.
Absolutely, a little bit of I don't even know what you want to call it. It's just a block, I guess.
It was just a block, yeah. They go Zachary again.
He goes
but
down
this
the line.
time, he makes them pay, and I think I would have, I don't know, I think I'd rather have Vercain on Zachary. I mean, yeah, but nonetheless.
They were probably hoping for a poor pass off the net and fired out to the left side, but hey, 1 for 2, we can't complain.
You got the one block. They're now back tied 29-29. They can side out here.
Oh my goodness.
And another miss serve. Poplawski just throws his book just out of disgust. And Brad, I'm with you, man. I don't blame you because
that's four of the last, at least 4 of the last 10 points.
Every set point that MacEwan seems to get here, they seem to make an error. And
I don't know what they're talking about at the stat. Maybe the Bisons are being mean.
I think referee Azad Hossein is saying that can't throw his. No, I don't think it has anything to do with the coach. I'm not too sure what happened there. So now, after all that, we have a set point opportunity again here for the Bisons, 30-29. Spiring will serve. Pass there by Zachary. They go back to Carrison, and that goes off the block of Vercain and into the aerial. So we're again tied, 30-30. And if Koleski misses this serve, oh boy, I do not want to see what Coach Poplawski, because the unfortunate thing for him, the other guys, they get to stay on the court. Well, he's going to come off after this,
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, this is he's going to feel the wrath of 7 missed serves if he misses.
Perfect pass from Vercain. They go outside, and he gets the kill. And, I mean, so there's the issue. Koleski, he knows. He's well aware everyone has missed their serve. He saw the reaction from his coach, so he just put in a muffin there, right?
Yeah.
He just lollipopped it in, doesn't want to miss. And at this level, if you don't serve aggressive, it's going to be a side out.
Yeah, but you know what? 1 on 10 chance of holding that serve, that's better than an absolute 0.
I hear you. Not a great pass there. It's going to be a tough ball for Hesthammer to swing on.
There we go.
Martin's with the dig. Mandrick goes outside to Vercain, and Vercain. And they're going to call a net violation on the Griffins. And the Bisons hold on to win the second set, 32-30. And we are tied up at 1 set apiece. And now we will see if the Bisons can win the match. I said whoever won the second set would win the match based on the way it was going.
Yeah, if I'm head coach of the Griffins here, I don't know if I have much to say to my team. They know what they did there, so I don't know if ripping into them is the right thing. But some coaches are different. But maybe just let them think about what happened in that set. It wasn't poor passing, wasn't this, wasn't that. It was just pure lack of discipline from the service line. It's not to say they would have won the set straight up had they not missed, but you're giving yourself 0 chance on that when you miss the ball out of bounds. It actually reminds me of a match from last year. It was Brandon versus UBC.
Yes.
And I think Brandon missed, I think it went 35-33, something similar to this. And Brandon, it was comical. I'm very sure they missed 8 or 9 serves after 20 on set points. And they ended up losing that set and ultimately the match.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, so it was.
Yeah.
We were at home pulling our hair out. Actually, started made a little game of it. So you can just imagine what kind of game would happen. And
speaking of games, we have some
jump.
on-court entertainment here. Throwing a banana. Oh, and he just missed the bucket. And now throwing the green thing. Just missed the bucket again. And now the red thing. Oh, too strong. We've got one more banana left.
They're just being cavalier with bananas right now.
And he's 0 for 4. Oh, and he doesn't. Oh, how many chances does he get in this game? Oh, he hit the bucket on that one.
Is that a rubber?
Oh, and he made it.
Make it rain.
Oh, I don't know what's going on here. And he's hit the bucket again.
You got to have that muscle memory there,
Does he get about 40 chances here, though?
With that many? I'd miss 2 and probably train the rest. This is just...
The crowd is just enthralled.
What's with all the numbers anyways?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. All I know is he made 1 bucket shot.
He is absolutely spraying them there, Jared.
He had 40 chances. He got it in once? I would have. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have done better, but I feel like I could have made
or
at least two
or
of
at
those
least
bucket
hit
tosses.
Hit bucket.
I would have been hitting the bucket every time because I would have tossed it low to try to hit the lip of the bucket
Bloop
and
over.
then yeah, and because whenever when you do cornhole, right? I like to land it on the bottom
and slide it in.
and slide it up, right?
Yeah.
The direct in, it's overrated. You land it and then just let it just fall into the hole. And at the very worst, right?
You have
it protects.
a hanger.
Yeah, and it blocks.
It's a curling play.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
we know what we're talking about here.
All right, so if we want to compare some stats here for the second set, DeYounker, another strong set in terms of kills. He had another 6 kills, so averaging 6 kills per set in this match, which is quite impressive. As you can see on the season average, a 4 and a little bit is as good as it gets. So having 6 in this match is a very, very impressive, and only managed to have 2 errors in that set. And on the Griffin side, Max Vren now has 6 kills at 36% efficiency and has 8 blocks. So he's really putting in some work at the net for his team, really earning them a lot of points. I don't think I've seen somebody with 8 blocks in 2 sets in a long time. That is something quite impressive.
That's a solid night for Vrend.
Yeah, you got to think that he's going to be happy with his performance despite maybe some of the missed serves he put in at the end of that set.
Martins, nice pass to go back to Negus. Verkane with the cover. Mandrick all the way outside to Jean-Pierre. And he finds the floor.
And there's that heavy arm swing we saw last night coming into play. It looks like he's maybe funneled his first set frustrations directly into his arm. So could be well for the Bisons here.
Deep-pen, serve, taken there by Linklater. Moeller goes back to Kowalewski. And that's a side out. Tied 1-1. Now back to serve is the first year outside, Zachary. So it's 25-20 Griffin's first set, 32-30 for the Bisons in the second.
That second set was quite a back and forth. The Bisons had a 4-point lead at the technical, dropped that lead very quickly, and then managed to come out of 4, 5, 6 set points for the Griffins. So a very interesting set there.
Spiring was on the net on that middle attack. So a point for the Griffins, 2-1. Verkane's pass, Mandrick outside, Jean-Pierre.
Great
Verkane with the cover, Negus set outside to Jean-Pierre, tips it over. Taken there by Moeller, Linklater. Back to Hesthammer, and that's blocked by Spiring and Negus. Side out, Manitoba. 28 attempts for Jean-Pierre in 2 sets. That's a pretty heavy load. He's going to be getting a day off on Monday.
Oh, 100%.
Negus float serve. And DeJean
that's
with
a big-time dig.
A big swing, but a nice job by Linklater to keep it alive. They go middle to Spiring, and Linklater can't come up with another dig.
He almost coked him there, as they say on the Bisons. When you attack a ball through somebody's legs, you owe that guy a Coke.
Okay.
The guy who gets bounced on owes a guy a Coke. So
what if you don't drink pop?
Well,
bottled water?
Sure, we'll call it a bottle of water.
A nice Dasani?
Yeah, maybe some brisk.
Okay, good iced tea.
Yep.
I like lemonade, too.
I like the half and half, the Arnie Palmies.
Yeah, those are tasty as Hesthammer gets the kill. I mean, it seems so simple, right? But a genius creation by one of the best golfers ever, Arnold Palmer. I like iced tea. I like lemonade. Just give me a little bit of half and half.
Absolutely.
Maybe they were running out of lemonade. Maybe they're running out of iced tea. And he just said, but I want a full drink. Just pour them together.
Maybe the pop gun was all messed up.
Sure.
And it split the lines in 2. And then he's like, what is this magic that just came out of this fountain here?
Yeah, I'm going to name it after myself.
I wish I had that kind of market power to do that,
See, the key is we've created these things, but we're not famous, so no one's going to ever want to name them after us,
Everyone's
right?
like, oh, big deal.
Yeah, like I don't want to drink an Alex Strachan, right?
Does not have that roll.
No, but an Arnold Palmer, yeah. Sure.
And shorten it to Arnie Palmy, like, that's just, it's too good.
Yeah. Moeller goes outside to Carrison. Negus with the dig. Mandrick goes pipe to Jean-Pierre. Dug up there by Moeller. Joe to the net, and Spiring goes off the block of Hesthammer. And Dustin Spiring, he's certainly not the biggest middle in the Canada West. But you see, he's just, he's a smart player out there. He's kind of making good at what he has. And he's going to score a lot of points just by making good, smart decisions.
Nothing flashy, but gets the job done almost every time. Oh, almost had that one.
Side out now, 5-4.
Yeah, as you were saying, Dustin Spiring just making the right plays at the right time, doesn't overstep his abilities, and he's very self-aware of those abilities. I've had multiple talks to him about that, and he says, you know what, I'm really good at doing my job and knowing what my job is, so he doesn't overstep and try to go for too much. He just gets up there, sees the open court, and puts it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds almost simple, but it's one of those things that takes a lot of discipline and maturity to be able to pull off plays like that on a consistent basis.
Garrison's jump float taken there by Martins. They go outside to Vercaine. And Vrend got a piece but wasn't able to control it. Side out Bisons. As now Spiring will go back to serve. Bisons leading by 1, 6-5. Linklater's pass. Go pipe to Zachary. And Zachary hits that pipe real well. He really does. He has that good hang time. He jumps quite high. And that's something that I'm sure MacEwan will like to continue to build into their offense, is using him more.
And as you had mentioned earlier, the Bisons have never really been known for having a lot of pipe attack in their offense, which also can translate to not often defending against the pipe in practice. So that is definitely a weak point in their defense. The middle blockers and outside blockers aren't always accustomed to having to think about that pipe option every single day in practice. So that can serve as a strategy for a lot of teams. So we'll have to look out for that if he's going to continue to hit the pipe that well. Yeah,
and there's absolutely a relationship there in what you're good at is also usually the strength you defend it well, because like you said, at practice, if every guy in your team serves really tough spin serves, for example, well, it's not going to really bother you when you play against a team who serves the same way. You'll find issues with people who have tough float serves.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's always that same thing. If you attack well in the middle, you probably defend well in the middle because you're always going against those players in practice.
You see a lot of balls coming at you from that zone.
And you spend way more time practicing than you do competing.
Yep.
So it's definitely has been an issue. I know last couple of years in the playoffs that has been exposed a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
A couple years ago against UBC.
Yeah, they really gave it to us on the pipe. I think they exclusively ran pipe balls. And they have a jumper like Irvin Brar, who's still in the league right now, second in the league in kills, and he very efficient, and it still seems to be an issue for the Bisons in this day and age.
Zachary with the high tip. Falls in front of Mandrick 9-7 now for the Griffins as Vren goes back to serve. It's a 2-point advantage. Girls teams are anxiously awaiting to take the court. They'll probably start warming up after this set, as somebody will be up 2-1. Vercaine's attack kept alive by Hesthammer. Back row, Carrison. Magic with the dig. Penner's going to set a high ball outside to Vercaine, and Vercaine hits that one off the tape and out. No touch. Coach Pischke doesn't like the call, but I think that was the right call. Yeah. I don't think that caught the block at all.
Usually if it hits the tape that hard, if it catches a block, it usually doesn't find its way back to the end line. It usually heads out quite sideways, so I think that's the right call by the head official. He does have the best view in the house for that play as well.
That's right. He's right on it. He's right there. Mandrick outside to Negus. Side out Bisons.
Nice strong deep attack there from Negus. Really nice to see him hit around that block in the back door region. That's a really good shot.
Vercaine goes back to serve. Bison's trailing by 2. Spin serve into the net. So his serving struggles continue. The only serve he made was actually when we were in the extra points. He missed both his other serves in the second set.
Well, if it means anything, make it when it matters, right?
Yeah, I guess fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, but it's still nice to lead the whole set and then win. But they like doing it the hard way the last couple ones. So.
Mandrick, Jonker, and Linklater almost kind of tried to get out of the way of that one, but
didn't have enough spin on that.
Yeah, the ball was just hit too hard and too fast.
I will say the Griffins have been playing some pretty good defense tonight. They've turned a lot of impressive digs on some pretty strong attacks from the Bisons. So all the credit to them. It looks like that's going to be a big part of their success in this match.
Zachary dug up there by Negus. Outside to Jonquier, and he's blocked by Zachary.
Set looked a little low there for DeJonker. It looks like he really wanted to go after it, but it wasn't quite there. Made a little low and tight to the net. The blockers kind of ate him up.
3-point lead, 12-9 Griffins. And I know I can sense it, Al, that we're going to be here 10 sets tonight. Both matches going 5-5 as Spiring gets the kill in the middle. We were fortunate, quick games, 3-setters yesterday.
Yep.
Bisons, but tonight I'm sensing it's going to be long ones.
Well, there is a lot of pizza options, as I said earlier. So, and usually it's pretty efficient getting over here to the Investors Group Athletic Center. They're no stranger to that.
Hesthammer, side out Griffins.
I thought of a good one for him. I'm surprised I never thought of it before. I'll save it for later.
Hey, you're setting the bar nice and high now.
It's nothing special.
My expectations have been raised.
Well, it's about as good as you'd expect there, Jared, but here we go.
I'm sure you won't disappoint. As Koleski serves, jump float into the net.
And there's a free one for the Bisons.
So we kind of got into this discussion a little bit yesterday, Alex, about serving philosophies as coaches and kind of what you feel is acceptable. And for me, so in those ones, that type of miss, it's such a soft serve, right? There's really no pace on it at all. If it gets over the net, it's going to be an easy pass for the other team, right? Bison are not going to have any difficulty with that serve. You have to make it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying it's okay for Vercaine to go back there and miss every single serve, but he's serving aggressively. He's challenging. If the ball, yes, it's into the net, and yes, it's the same end result as Vren gets a block, but you're at least going to make their team have to make a hard play if they pass the ball. So, aggressive errors, you got to think about if the ball is in play, what's it going to look like? But ones where a guy, you just have some guys on your team, you just say, hey, listen.
You're the guy who has to serve it in.
Yeah, you're a guy we're going to look to make 95 to 99% of his serves.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to make 100%. I get that. I mean, maybe you could, but pretty unlikely as that tip falls to the floor.
That was an interesting run there, forcing that 51. I don't think that was in the setter setting that ball, was it?
No, it kind of was a bit of a trick play there as the Griffins tipped that one down and lead by 5, 16-11.
I think that comes down just to some short court warm-ups, just goofing around a little bit. It's a great play there by the Griffins. Really caught the Bisons off guard, and it really paid off for a 5-point lead here at the timeout.
I wonder if my prediction of whoever wins the second set will win the match. Maybe not here.
We have a lot of volleyball to play still here, Jared.
I would say the Griffins, though, have outplayed the Bisons.
Oh, well,
this
their
evening.
blocking has been exponentially better. Their defense has been, I'm not going to say exponentially, but it's been a lot more noticeably better. Their attack has been about even, I would say, in terms of efficiency. Their serving last set was quite weak, but the Bisons also have been a little streaky with the serve this set. So at this point, I think it's all Griffins this set with their strengths really playing in with the defense and the blocking. And when you're doing both those things really well, it's very frustrating as an attacker to not be able to put the ball away for your team.
Yeah, I mean, other than that early advantage in the second set for the Bisons, the Griffins have really probably controlled most of the game. So this is not a huge surprise that they've come back in this set here to take a 16-11 lead, but
they must have watched a lot of tape from last night and really broke it down and found some holes on the Bison defense.
Vercaine dug up there by Zachary. Outside to Hesthammer, roll shot. Vercaine's there for the save. They go to DeJonker out of the back row. That's dug up. And now Carrison.
Great dig by Martins down the line.
Vercaine left side. Another great dig there. And Zachary comes flying in on the pipe, but hits it long. No touch.
And right there, Jared, it's a perfect example of that aggressive error you were referring to. I think that's a great effort there in the back row attack. Kind of in a broken play, the ball is nice and high. Go for it. It wasn't the ugliest swing ever, and if that ball's in, the Bison's going to have a lot of trouble handling that.
Spiring serve into the net. Yeah, I mean, I think more often than not, you're going to be rewarded if you play the game that way, and especially if you consistently play the game that way, right? If you always play that aggressive style, and you can perfect that aggressive style of play, I think in the long run you'll end up becoming a pretty effective attacking team.
Absolutely.
As Penner is soft blocked but dug up by the Bisons, and then Vercaine gets the kill on the left. But it's just, I guess, what kind of philosophy of a team do you have, and what type of players do you have on your lineup? But I have no issue with especially young players. We're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Make the right mistakes.
Yeah, so let's make aggressive mistakes. so that we can find out how hard can I actually hit the ball and it still be in. I hate, a 50% shot hit out of bounds.
Yeah.
If we're not going to swing aggressively, it has to be in.
And realistically, in volleyball especially, you've probably done 10, 100 times more 100% swings than you have 50%
Sure.
swings. So
You're more comfortable swinging that way.
absolutely. So in
Yep.
reality, that 190 to 100% swing is actually your more comfortable shot.
Yep. No, that's a good point. As Vercaine rolls it over. Moeller outside to Zachary. Deep tip. Magic's there with the save. Martins sets to Negus.
Oh, another
and
block.
Koleski with the
Oh my
big block,
gosh.
teaming up with Moeller.
I didn't know IGAC was open for leasing for block parties here when it's not their own team putting them on. This is
It's,
something special here by the Griffins.
Yeah, they have definitely blocked very well tonight, especially compared to yesterday. We don't see them all year. We don't know what they've been like throughout the course of the season, but compared from last night to tonight, there's been a big improvement in the block.
Absolutely.
For the Griffins.
They really are locking down on especially down the middle of the court. They're really I don't know if another block now that we're talking about it. They are just putting up an absolute brick wall, letting nothing by. And every ball that is coming by, they're getting a hand on, getting it up. This is a really impressive showing by the Griffins compared to last night. Very great strategy turnaround. I'm really impressed.
Well, and the Bisons do have a couple guys who, they're not afraid to swing aggressively, right? So if you're putting up a good solid block, you're going to get them sometimes.
Yeah, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, Jared.
Yeah, you're going to get them. So we're seeing the tough side of that right now where they're not hitting the ball. I mean,
yesterday, DeYonker actually was very much rewarded for his aggressive play. But today, the blockers are just finding a way to get their hands on it and turning it into a positive block.
little Lou Bega Mambo number 5 here, a little throwback.
Yeah, a little bit of Monica, in my life. She seems like a nice lady. A little bit of Erica by my side. All I need right now is just a little bit of Jessica.
I remember, so funny thing was, where I see Dylan Sutherland will check in for Jack Mandrick, but I was in grade 10 when that song came out, Alex.
Okay.
And this girl had moved to our school from Toronto.
Oh, she had one of the names, didn't she?
No. She was Jill. She wasn't, I don't think Jill's ever mentioned in Mambo number 5, but she, a service ace there off for Kane. But she said, I got this song. This is like our favorite song back in Toronto. And she started playing this song, and I thought, this song stinks. This is a terrible, terrible song. And this will never catch on here in Winnipeg. This is not a good tune. And she said, oh, no, in Toronto, everybody loves this song. And then literally, about 6 months later, it became popular and it started being played in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that was the good old Driving to the Lake soundtrack for my parents and I when I was younger.
I mean, it was no Baja Man Who Let the Dogs Out, but another classic from that time. As Zachary swings on the left, squeezes through the block of Schwartz, who's just been subbed in for Vercaine.
And also another under-the-radar sub that we might have overlooked was Brendan Warren checked into the game here.
Yeah, he did come in for Penner.
And another block up down the middle for that pipe. The Bisons just cannot find a solution to that three-man block down the middle. They're going to have to start maybe looking to the C-ball, Jared, to open up some space for that left side and hopefully get some things going late in the set to grab some momentum for the next because, this is a tall order to finish this set on top, but, it is equally as important to grab some points so you have some confidence going into that fourth set.
Negus with the tip. Kept alive. Zachary, left side. Negus with the dig. They go back to Schwartz, and Schwartz hits it into the net. 23-13, Griffins.
So maybe for the viewers who thought that number 15, Kevin Negus, might have been on the net during that play, the rule is if you're on the net outside of the antenna and not playing the ball, it is allowed. So just a clarification for maybe some parents yelling at the TV at home.
Fair enough. It's always good to know the rules.
I yell at home sometimes when I'm watching some games, Said, hey, that guy's all over the net, or, terrible set. But just a clarification for you guys at home.
Schwartz, tough pass. It's going to be a free ball coming here to the Griffins.
Looks like the Bisons have kind of unloaded all their rookies onto the floor, maybe to give those veteran guys a rest for the next one to gear up.
It's kind of a bit scrambly here as the ball is just tipped over by Koleski. Sutherland goes outside to Negus, and he finds through the block and down.
Well,
Side out Manitoba.
Since that technical timeout at 16-11, the Griffins have opened up a 7-3 run. So they're really in control of this set, really controlling that pace of play and the plane of the net. So it'll be interesting to see what lineup Garth Pischke goes up with next set. You know, does he stick with this mostly rookie lineup, or does he kind of just give those starters a break and hope for the best next set?
Negus and Warren team up for the block there, as Schwartz will serve again. Yeah, this is a very young lineup the Bisons have out here right now.
I think they have just the one player who's been on the floor for more than 1 year here. Just Kevin Negus on the floor right now. I guess technically Dustin Spiring is still in the lineup, but yeah,
as
mostly
far as guys actually on the floor, yep.
Yep. So not a lot of experience out there. So this is a good time for Coach Pischke to kind of give his young players a little gut check and some playing time to give his starters a break here in a tough set for the Bisons.
Warren's tip, dug up there by Linklater. Outside to Zachary, and Zachary gets the kill. And the Griffins take the third set, 25-15, and now lead 2-1.
This could get really interesting here, Jared.
I don't know, I made that prediction on that second set, but
based on the play of the Griffins right now, if you know what, if that second set, if they didn't miss a few serves, this game could have easily been over right now. They just had a few mental breaks in that second set, but it's been all Griffins tonight.
Yeah, and I think Grant MacEwan. Sorry, my mistake. Just MacEwan. They have some. They do have some younger players, but they have a few guys who have been around for a couple years, and I think they know that if they get to 0-8, with who they're playing the next 2 weekends, right? You know, this is a win. They really need a win here. And if you're the Bisons, you know, without a doubt, there's guys who, as you see Jonker right now, really kind of talking to the team in the timeout, kind of get the guys going. But, you know, Jonker, Spiring, Vercaine, I mean, they've been through the last couple seasons. They understand what it takes. But, you know, the other guys, they don't really know, right? The young guys, they don't necessarily know what's ahead, right? And they don't know what it takes to get to the next spot. And that's ultimately a huge benefit for the maturation process of those young players, is to spend a year, you know, much like you did in your early years, where there were some veteran players that show you the way. You know, it's very hard if your whole team is young. You need someone to teach the players, even though necessarily it might not pay off this season in terms of this group, you know, making the playoffs or having any success this year. The hope is there's lessons learned.
Sets the norm for certain aspects of non-skill play. Yeah,
and where you go forward from there. So, but I mean, you look around the league, and this is thank you. We got the stats here. But Al, you look around the league, and I mean, the Bisons are going to have a hard time making the playoffs, right? There's a lot of good teams, and even though 8 teams make the playoffs, they're going to be in a dogfight, you know, probably right to the end, where every single game matters. So, yes, this is a huge game for MacEwan, who's 0-7, but if you're 2-5 and you're Manitoba, I mean, you got to win this game to get to 3-5, and now you're down 2-1. You're not particularly playing great so far. They had a very solid match last night. I think they looked really good, but MacEwan has played better tonight, and the Bisons have taken a step back, which is why MacEwan's up 2-1.
And just a fun little stat here, MacEwan is up to 14.5 total blocks right now, which is out of this world for a 3-set, for just having played 3 sets. That is unheard of there, Jared. Even the Bison sitting at 7 total blocks in 3 sets is quite a lot. And actually, Max Vrend is at 10 blocks on his own. So, I mean, he's really putting in work tonight. He's got 8 kills, 10 blocks, a dig. He's got a service ace under his belt. And you know what? I'm really impressed. 2 service aces under his belt, my mistake. So I'm really impressed with his play tonight. I think if I were to pick a player of the match at this point in the game, it would, without a doubt, be number 9, Max Vrend.
Yep, I agree with you. And it's funny how you look at Carson, you know, really was a huge part of the offense last night. Not nearly as effective, but other guys have stepped up. Zachary's been better. You know, we've saved Vrend. I mean, Koleski's had some good plays out there too. It's not filling the stat sheet with a ton of plays, but 4 kills on 6 attempts, a couple blocks. You know, he's having an impact. right?
Absolutely.
More than he did yesterday, for sure.
And looking at that, the stat sheet here as well, Adam DeJonker started off that set with a quick 2 kills and then didn't get one for the rest of the set. He was at 12 going in, and he finished with 14. So by no means bad numbers overall, but you got to hope that he pulls out a couple more than 2 kills this set. The Bisons are really going to need his help to come out on top in this match. And Scott Verkine coming off the bench already at 30 attempts, Jared.
Wow.
So he's they're really trying to get him the ball, to get him activating some energy for this team.
Jonker out of the back row, dug up there by Hesthammer. Zachary's swing is covered. And then Verkane went to block with the middle, and there was nobody home. Easy kill for Zachary. And I don't know, Al. I'm not seeing it from the Bisons tonight here.
I am not either. I mean, again, going back to that Bison's pipe, they do get one past the block, but it's dug up perfectly. That's got to be very frustrating. I mean, they're doing everything they can to get some offense going, but when the other team just seems to be touching every ball and digging every ball, it's really hard as an attacker to get your head around that. So you start maybe second-guessing your primary shot and going to your secondary shot, which is really just a roll shot or something that isn't as effective. But the Bison's catching a break here with a couple of errors.
So, question for you, Al. I mean, you kind of have obviously played with a lot of these guys and been through, but if you last year, you're ranked number 1 for, or top 2, top 3 kind of thing for almost the whole season, right? Have a great record. DeJonker, a big part of that. Inspiring was out there all year. Verkane kind of off and on with the starting lineup, right, as that ball's blocked by Warren. But I think those guys obviously were pretty aware that last year was kind of their last chance.
Their year,
their opportunity to win, knowing this year would be tougher with how many players were graduating from the team. But, what do you think the psyche of those athletes would be, having been starters, having had success, and now being the senior players on the team and being that really kind of a big gap between the fifth-year guys, first-year guys, and coming out of the season, and losing more games already at this point than you did the entire regular season last year? What do you think that would be like for these guys?
I think it's probably pretty difficult mentally going into every game. Not obviously they're thinking like, yeah, we're going to win, but when you're kind of that top echelon team for most of the year, you kind of go into a lot of games being like, we know we're going to win. Like tonight, we're going to win unless something really bad goes. But a lot of these games this year have all been battles, and it's always been a question mark, which is fine in terms of just sport being competitive. But as for a mental state, having so many wild cards out there with all these with a bunch of first years, you never know what's going to happen. Some of the first years are a bit less fine-tuned in certain skills, so some nights you never know what's going to happen. Like tonight, a team is putting up great blocks, and some of your guys just can't put away some balls. So I think it just takes they have to really channel to their pride and really, for themselves, finish on a good note, have a good year personally, and then really set the tone for the program for the next number of years. So I think they just need to take pride in what they're actually contributing to, not just the team, but the program as a whole.
Young here gets the kill, so that's 5 points in a row now for the Bisons. And interestingly enough, it was 3-0 for MacEwan. The Bisons tied it at 3, and Poplawski called a timeout, which, depending how this set goes, you might want back as they get to the later stages. But it's now a 2-point advantage for Manitoba, as Verkane has been serving off a couple big ones in a row here. DeJonker's had some big swings. And that ball from Zachary is in front of Verkane, side out Griffins. But yeah, I guess your role almost becomes, you have to kind of pass the torch to the next group, right? And you have just as much responsibility, I guess, to kind of helping these teammates go forward. But there's a lot of pride there. I look at a guy like DeJonker. He's pretty fired up out there. He's doing his best to kind of get his teammates going. But it's tough, right? Because you look to the guy beside you, and if you had a guy like Rooney in the middle, for example, now you got a first-year player, Brendan Warren, who I think will be a good middle player, but he's got seven games at the university. Oh, gee, a couple.
Bless you, Jared.
Sneeze monster there got me. But,
okay.
He's got 7 games under his belt.
Yeah, compared to
5 years for someone
games.
like Rooney. Yeah, so it's got to be different, and I think the hard part about that would also be, you feel sometimes like if you have a role on the team and you know the guy beside you is definitely going to fulfill his role as a Jonker gets a kill, you sometimes feel, though, now, and it's not that you don't have confidence in the ability of the younger players, but I think as an athlete you think, I need to get 1 or 2 more kills. I need to do this. I need to do that. Whereas last year you probably felt like they could just play within themselves.
And if they had a slow night by per set standards and somebody else had a great match, it was all good. The team winning, everybody's doing their job. Someone has a really great match, and instead of you having a crazy good match, you just did your job, and that's fine. But like we mentioned multiple times yesterday and a bunch today, that a lot of the workload is landing on Scott Verkine and Adam DeJonker this year. So they have to put up big numbers for this team to do well.
So Bison still lead by 1, 7-6 as Koleski will serve. Taken there by DeJonker. Mandrick goes back to Negus, and that's hit long. And I think if I was Magic, you don't want to become too one-dimensional, obviously, because as a setter, you got to make sure you're keeping everybody involved. But when I have DeJonker in the front row, I think I want to be getting it when it's good, know, and I think I want to be feeding him now. At this stage of the game, Negus hasn't, I don't think he's played poorly. He hasn't played great. I mean, I think he's out there doing what he can. But DeJonker is feeling it pretty good as he gets another kill, and he hasn't been a big part of the offense out of the back row. They haven't been able to establish that. So I think I'm trying to pile up as many points as I can. And Negus, as we see in the stats, he's actually hitting a minus efficiency. So I think, at this point, if I'm Coach Pischke, I'm saying, you know what? Let's give Adam as many balls as we can. And especially if he stopped, then we'll go to him again. And if he stopped again, then we'll go to him one more time. Yeah. I think that's the attitude you have to have. He's not going to have any issues. As we see now, John Loeb will actually check in the back row for Negus.
And I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, if he stays in across the front row based on what we talked about.
Yeah.
Negus not looking too impressed on the bench there, giving that paddle a little bit of a toss, but maybe he just needs a chance to reset and maybe get his head back in the game a little bit.
Sparring with the kill in the middle there. So Manitoba keeps the advantage, 9-8. And now it's DeJonker who will go back to serve. And this is where we'll see an interesting part of the game as Vrend is blocked, but they cover and keep it alive. We'll finish this rally here first. Aspiring big swing, and it goes out of bounds over the net. So the thought here now, though, Al, is how do the Bisons do with Adam in the back row, right? Can Scott carry the load here a little bit? And it might become pretty one-dimensional as far as just starting the left sides, but I think at this stage of the game, you're up 10-8, you're in the fourth set. I think they're good enough to win you the match. I think you just keep setting them every ball.
Yeah, because this is I think this actually might be one of the tougher rotations as setter Jack Mandrick is in the front row, so they don't actually have a front row back set option. So they're only stuck with Spiring in the middle and then Verkine on the left, as that pipe has not been very successful. So they're kind of stuck to just the two options unless Jack, wants to throw that ball down, which he hasn't done tonight. But, I think I'd like to see him mix in a setter dump for this one. So then when they come back around, when it's a tighter game later on, that middle's going to be thinking about that dump. But he hasn't shown that at all tonight. I think that actually might be a very crucial part of this game.
Verkane's pass off the net. Mandrick goes back to him on the left. And a nice dig there by Hesthammer. And they're actually going to call a 2 hits violation.
That's a first tonight, which actually, that was a very spectacular play in the back row there. So I'm surprised he called that. I'm willing to bet that if it was 22-22, that ball handling is let go.
Yeah, there's probably a good chance. You're right on that one, Al. Aspiring serve. They go outside to Zachary, inside set, and that's hit long.
Oops, I just get the good old +2 on the score. So
yeah, we can't do that.
No.
Imagine if
there's a 2-pointer
line.
Yeah. Like a back row attacks. That sounds like a practice drill.
Yeah, that's actually would be an interesting. I mean, we do drills all the time where middle kills are worth 2
and
or
setter dumps and all that.
All these kind of things. But if in an actual game like NBA Jam style, if you were from a certain spot on the floor, if you could earn more points.
I think aces should be worth 2.
Ace is worth 2. Hey, if that was the case, everybody would just serve as hard as they can all the time.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of misses.
There would always be a role for a guy like Luke Herr on a volleyball team if that was the case. But what if miss serves? What if
and miss serves are -1
I know,
+1?
you could have all kinds. Because I mean,
that means you could lose a set if you're tied though at 23 all.
Well,
or 24,
we've done those drills, right? We've done those drills where that's what happens, and you have scenarios like that. as Karrason comes out of the back row, hits it wide.
The
but
Bisons are catching some pretty good breaks on the defensive end here.
It's fun in practice to set situations like that up, though, and have just – oh, they're actually going to overrule that and say that the Bisons were on the net.
Oh, that's a classic Rob Lee call there. I remember watching a provincial final game again with MBCI versus, I want to say it was Dakota Lancers, and he was all over the net calls that night. And unfortunately for the MBCI Hawks, it just didn't pan out because they seemed to be on the net quite a bit. So, I mean.
Was that a Dave Staska match there?
It depends who you're asking. I mean, if it was the reporter who was doing the commentary, it was Dave Stasika, Dave Sastika. It was a mess. But yes, that was that
fair
year.
Enough. Vercaine gets the kill. But just to finish that thought on our drills, and it's a neat way to do it because, you just kind of put different pressures and stressors on different situations and see how the young guys can respond to it. And see if they're actually smart enough to figure out that every single kill in the middle is worth 2 points. Well, I would just set the middle every single time I could and go.
Middle's kind of that one position where more times than not it's just a one-on-one block. So why wouldn't you set the middle every time?
Yeah, it's worth
I'm
2.
a big believer in. I've always been playing, especially through club with Dave Sasika, as you mentioned. He was the type of setter who, from the get-go, would love to establish the middle early on and set them until it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, with that one-on-one block almost all the time until you get to higher levels, you start keying on people. Why wouldn't you set the middle on a good pass every time until they stop it and then set your other guys?
Yeah.
Earn a couple free ones.
Vercaine goes right down to his back to pass that one. And
just
then Loeb, a tough spot. You've been on the bench for 3 sets. He comes in here, and he's had a couple hitting errors now already. But
you got to think
they need some production from this spot.
Yeah, I mean, they've had trouble out of the right side position today. With Nagus, having 9 errors on the match, and now him having 2. And, that like you said, that was an interesting bounce off the block, but the Bisons will take that. But to continue my thought there on the right side position, often that's a position where you look for a lot of kills for your team. But tonight the Bisons have really been lacking in that department from that side of the court. So, again, putting a lot of pressure on DeJonker and Vercaine to put away balls for them. So I think that's maybe what the Bisons have been missing, other than passing tonight, is some right side presence that really helps them out.
Kill there for Karrason. Side out Griffins. They trail by 1, 15-14. We're one point away from the technical here as Koleski goes back to serve. Girls teams are warming up here. They're ready to hit the court after the completion of this match. But hopefully for the Bisons fans, that's still another full set away, as
absolutely. And
don't want this to end here in the 4th. Madrick goes back to Loeb. And Martins, great job, keeps it alive. Loeb's going to bump set outside to DeJonker, and Donker's just going to set it over deep. Zachary's there with the pass. They go back to Vrend on the split.
That's an interesting. It looked like he reached quite high there and maybe went over top or around the block. That was a very impressive attack there.
So they have Vrend here blocking on the right to try to take away DeJonker, and they have Hesthammer blocking in the middle.
So if I'm Jack Mandrick right now, I'm running Adam inside on a perfect pass here with Dustin Spiring running a 61.
Let's see what he does. He goes middle to Spiring.
Or do that. That's also a good option.
And they actually moved Vrend back into the middle on that one to try to move some things around. So.
But if I'm a setter, which I'm not, but if I'm the setter or a coach, and I see them switching up a block, I want to expose that blocker who's at a disadvantage. So if you're throwing that outside blocker into the middle, he is out of his element. That's obviously they're recognizing that as your secondary, third option, whatever. I say attack that option every single time you can. So, like I mentioned, with your best attacker, line him up. Like they wanted to switch up that lineup, so line him back up with that same guy. So, like I said, run DeJonker on that inside ball. They used to do that quite a bit earlier on in the season, but then they could just expose that gap. Maybe he's not used to having to look for that inside ball out of the middle because he's probably just focusing on Spiring on that play. So, but they got out of that rotation just fine. So, it'll be interesting to see what they plan out for blocking DeJonker for the rest of the match.
1 point lead as they come back to the timeout. And obviously here, we still have 9 points to 25. This could easily go either way, but I'd like to see a 5th set here. We're already this far. We might as well just continue going forward.
Yeah, might have to pull up a chair.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish this is just.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't see.
So if you're the Bisons here, you're really hoping you get first at 20 to put on some pressure. So, because having your back against the wall does bring out certain qualities in people, but it's always nice when you're already back against the wall. You don't need to make the situation any more stressful for yourself.
It was Vrend who got the kill in the middle there. Spyring got a piece, but not enough for Loeb to dig the ball behind.
If I'm in Vegas right now and the payout for Vrend getting a kill, it's probably not very high because he's getting the ball a lot this today and getting a lot of blocks.
Hesthammer's roll shot dug up by Martins. They go pipe to Vercain, and Vercain off the block and wide.
First pipe kill of the match for the Bisons.
So the tough part here is that the Griffins are 100% loading up on DeJonker at all times now where we're at. But the issue is Mandrick is not getting him the ball in the right spots. You see Adam is not able to take full swings, and now he's in the back row. They're only up by 1, and we've discussed at length the difficulty they've had running thing at the back row as Spyring is just slammed. Bit of a jail set there. There was really nowhere to go as Vrend was all over it.
Vrend is just finding a honey hole there in the middle of the court, just blocking everything that comes his way. He's going to look back and probably make a little highlight reel for himself after this one if he aspires to send any kind of tape to anybody after his U Sports career. Tonight's match will really be padding the stats for him here, you might say.
High pass from Vercain. Mandrick goes back to him. He just has to just tip it over. I know Hesthammer's going to come out of the back row. Loeb with the dig. Mandrick goes pipe to DeJonker, and he tips it over. And now Zachary's going to get a chance to swing. And Vercain is blocked by Zachary and Vrend.
Oh my gosh, another block for Vrend.
So this is the discussion we had before is the Bisons are completely, Alex, completely one-dimensional, right?
Left side, left side.
They're only setting the left, okay? Only setting the left. So they have, every single time the Griffins are serving, they have their defense set up to take that away. But you can still score in that situation. If you have the hitters to do it, you can still score. And I think DeJonker and Vercain, they can find their way through this. The issue, though, is they're not setting the ball properly, as Bergen has now come in here for Mandrick.
This is actually might be a first for the season for second-year Ryan Bergen, who left the program for 1 year and came back. This should be interesting to see what he does here. He's a big, long guy, great blocker. So
Warren and Vercain get the soft block, and now it's Zachary's going to attack the ball off the net. DeJonker with the dig. Warren just tips it over on the second ball. They go to Vrend, and he's blocked, and Karrason can't get the dig. But I'm not saying it's Mandrick's fault here, right? If I was Mandrick, I'd be setting those guys every single time too. But they're not getting the passes, so everything's kind of out of system. It's all broken down. And at least if they have the threat of running the middle, you have to keep those blockers there. Oh, and Linklater lets it fall, and it's going to be a service ace for Spyring.
That's a cheeky little bloop serve there to the back corner.
2-point advantage, and the Griffins will call timeout.
That's one of those serves that, from up here, it looks like a pretty easy serve. But as a passer, it's coming across that seam. You're assuming, A, it's out. B, the guy beside me has it because it's nice and high and going his way. And you both get caught looking at each other, and it comes right down because of the high angle, and that's in by a good ball each way.
So how do you remedy this situation? My thought would be, what if you have Scott Vercain on the opposite, you have Adam on the left, and now at least you can spread the court. If they're the only two guys at this point of the season, if you don't feel Coach Pischke, that have the confidence in first year, Schwartz and Negus and Loeb that they can really carry the load, you put one on each pin, right? At least now the other team's going to have to kind of respect
then you have
both
a
sides of the court.
P1, P2 situation where you set your P1 over and over and over, and then your left side on the opposite, it can just pass balls.
And you could still have Vercain. You could have him line up and pass sometimes out of the right as well.
Yeah, and he's no familiar, and he would also open up a really good C-ball option. So there's a lot of options there. I'm sure they've explored that, but for now, this is what they're stuck with.
Bergen, who's come in to set, gets the soft block, goes outside to Vercain, and that's dug up by Hesthammer, nice and high. Karrason's going to go bumps it to Zachary. Just going to be a free ball coming here to the Bisons. Taken by Warren. Not a great pass. They got a bumps it outside of Vercain. He's just going to roll it over. Karrason with the dig. Moeller goes pipe to Hesthammer, and DeJonker can't come up with the dig. But that all was sort of set up there. That free ball pass was not a good one, and it put everything out of order.
As a libero, I'm a big believer of, middles just aren't the best at passing free balls. So especially with their arms. In my philosophy, in my head, is the only time a middle should touch a ball that isn't a hit or a block is a hand pass.
Okay.
Everybody usually can set a ball straight up. So I think that he has to audible to John Loeb there to take that free ball to get it to the net. Who knows what could have happened there.
Vercain has to pass that one from his knee, so they set DeJonker in the pipe. That's dug up by Hesthammer. Moeller Goes all the way back to Karrason. He's just going to set it over. Warren's there with the pass. Magic goes high ball outside of Vercaine, and he looks for the sideline, and he finds it. And much to the dismay of the Griffins.
That's the kind of play that I did not think he had, that there was any angle there for him to put that away, but linesman and the head ref agreed that ball was in, so, kudos to Scott Vercaine there for finding some mysterious space through the block onto the court down the line there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that scored. Zachary tips it over. Takes Magic out of the play. Martins is going to go high ball outside to Vercaine. Vercaine's roll shot into the middle of the court. And Linklater came in front of Hesthammer and didn't get a good contact on it. Kill there for Vercaine.
That's interesting. I feel like the Griffins' defense, they were probably on their heels expecting a typical Scott Vercaine big, powerhouse attack, but he switches it up to the deep corner and catches them sleeping.
Zachary, dug up by Vercaine, back to the Griffins' side. Moeller goes back row to Karrason. He's dug up there by DeJonker. Mandrick on the run, goes outside Vercaine. And Scotty gets another kill, 23-19 now U of M.
So now the U of M team's looking like they're playing some ball. They're, digging balls into the circle, passing a lot better, and like you mentioned, the left sides are just doing what they're doing best, putting balls away. And I think it's really a really good turnaround for them.
The big thing here, Alex, is that Vren's in the back row, and he's been such a force up at the net for the Griffins.
Lack of better terms here.
As they go outside to Zachary. Nice diving dig, but they can't come up with the second ball. Side out Griffins, 23-20 U of M. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah. Little chair action there on the floor.
Yeah, Moeller back to serve. Bison still leading by 3.
Yeah, the Bisons are going to really hope to close out this set before number 9, Vren, gets back out there like you mentioned.
Jonker's tip, dug up by Moeller. They go outside to Karrason, and Karrason is blocked by Warren and Loeb. And it's interesting, I didn't think we would really see Brendan Warren tonight after he didn't dress yesterday, but he started off a little bit slow, a little tentative, but he's come out there now, and he's had a couple plays at the net.
Well, I'm telling you, like we had mentioned earlier in the match tonight, that he is quite an excellent blocker, and it's really come in handy for the Bisons. And it's a great move by Garth Pischke. He probably asked him, said, "Hey, that ankle's good to go, right?" And, as a rookie, what are you going to say? So he's doing a great job, though. And another one for the set. We're going to 5.
Jonker gets the block on Zachary. And Manitoba takes the fourth, 25-20, and we will now be heading to a 5th and deciding set. So the poor girls teams here, they just warmed up for the last 20 minutes, and now it's all for naught as they're going to have to wait another 20 minutes or so before they take the court. If I may, though,
I've spent, other than last year, like I mentioned yesterday, we switched it up. Yeah. I've often warmed up 3 times waiting for the girls' game to end because the women typically find a way to go to 5 most nights.
At 2-0, at 2-1, and then in the 5th set, 2, you warm up every single time,
Absolutely.
Right? Yep.
So, you know what? It's a great way to stay in shape.
So now how are you going to stay in shape if you're not warming up for 3 times?
Well, definitely not by sitting in a chair webcasting and eating pizza.
Hey, no pizza tonight, all right?
Yeah,
I'm having pizza tomorrow night for dinner. I'm not going to maybe we'll have one slice on the way out after the game.
Star volleyball mom, Dustin Spiring's mom, Paula, she had mentioned there will be some chicken wraps left over for us after. So, shout out to her and all of the Bison parents who feed the boys after the games.
I don't mind a good chicken wrap.
There's some roast beef as well.
Oh, I love roast beef.
Yep. There's often somebody brings a casserole and some pierogies. So, I'm not going to promise you any food because the boys are usually pretty hungry after these things. So. But all right, back to the action here. What do you think both coaches are saying to their players? On the Bison side, they've kind of been a bit of a roller coaster. So I'm assuming the guys are just talking to themselves right now, probably about just playing a consistent brand of volleyball. But for the Griffins side, I think they just need to get back to disrupting that serve-receive pattern and really, start taking Adam DeJonker out of the game because that really worked for the first 2 or 3 sets. And, his head's back in the game now, but, sometimes he can be susceptible to if a couple string of bad plays in a row, he can check out of the game for a few points, and that can be detrimental to the Bison's result here.
Yeah, I like the body language here from the Bisons. I like the way that they're looking here. I think DeJonker did a good job stepping up and showing some of that veteran leadership here. But it's been definitely a bit of a back and forth game here. Neither team really been able to establish too much control. I think the first 3 sets, like we said, it could have been a 3-0 win already for the Griffins, but when they really have had to step up, they haven't been able to make those key plays. So I really don't know what to expect in this fifth set, and I actually lost all opportunities to predict matches, as 2 years in a row I was unsuccessful in predictions, and Dan Gilbert banned me from ever making a prediction. Well, he held me to it. I did say that I'm so confident that Team X would win this fifth set that if Team Y wins, I will never predict another outcome of a match ever again. Yeah. They did not win. The next year after, in the very exact same situation, I was offered an opportunity, and I said, if this team doesn't win and the other team wins, I once again will never be able to predict, and I lost. And from that point going forward, I've never been able to predict an outcome of a match.
Well,
and that's over 10 years ago.
Well, maybe you've had some time to gather your data and do some real background searches on these teams, and maybe your prediction could be right tonight. Winner of the second set was the Manitoba Bisons. So according to Jared Brown, the self-proclaimed oracle, his prediction is the Bisons in this one.
That was I didn't predict a team would win, right? I said whoever wins that set. So that I am still allowed to make those type of claims.
A little backdoor action on that ruling.
You could say so. As DeJonk here absolutely tattoos the ball, but previous to that, the Griffins coaches and players pretty disappointed that ball was not called for a carry ball as Mandrick teed it up there with one hand.
I'll be brutally honest with you here, Jared. I've seen less ugly sets get blown down this game.
Okay, I'm going to have to process that comment, but I think I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It wasn't, though. He didn't call that set, and I've seen worse. And I've seen better get called.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So
you're saying it should have been called?
Absolutely.
Let's just say that in the simplest of terms.
Yeah,
it should have been called a carry ball.
Yeah, it created too much of an advantage to the Bisons, I think, and it was a lift, 2 hits, however you want to call it. But great middle dig and out of bounds.
So Koleski gets a piece, but not enough. Al, you got some stats there after 4 sets.
So I'm doing a little Kobe counter here on Max Vrend. He's now up to 12 total blocks on his tally tonight. That's not, he's got to be approaching some kind of season record or something, at least personally for sure. I don't think I've seen teams get that many total blocks before, so it'll be interesting to see how he racks up against prior historic events. I'll have to look into that, but he's having himself a great match.
Yonkir flushes it down.
Little three.
So you said you haven't seen teams get 12. I've seen in the 20s and 30s for teams.
Oh, wow.
For total team blocks. Yeah.
Is that in
this? Yeah.
In this format of play?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
A national final.
U of M against Laval.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one guy blocked every position in a row.
Yeah. The Bisons against Laval in the 99 or 2000 national final in Laval against Laval blocked all 5 players consecutively in a row.
My gosh.
Which was much to the enjoyment of Vic Lindell doing the announcing. So 3-2 Bison's lead as Spiring's attack in the middle is soft blocked, but he's going to set outside to Jonker on the cover, and that goes off the head of Hesthammer as the Griffins continue to run these block switches. But the way that DeJonker is hitting right now, right, it's not becoming an issue. It's not a factor, but you just got to think, do you have confidence? Can you set Loeb when they're making these changes? Do you have the confidence to set this first-year player as DeJonker comes out of the back row off the top of the block and long?
So it's looking like the Bisons are finally getting some traction when it matters from that back row attack from Adam DeJonker. So I think things are really looking up. And actually an under-the-radar stat update here for Dustin Spiring with 12 kills on 20 attempts for a 45% efficiency. And just a one-handed block there to potentially end the play, but they get a free ball back.
Martins with the pass. Mandrick goes outside to Vercaine, and Vercaine down the line. Big kill there for Scott Vercaine. 6-2 now.
So the Bison's really jumping on the Griffins in the beginning of this fifth set, which is, the first time today I think they've really come out in a set strong and looked like it. Not just, a bunch of missed serves, they ended up with more points, but they've earned a lot of their points in this set and really big plays, a lot of big attacks, great digs, almost a big block by Spiring, but they end up with the point anyways. Just a lot of character plays from the Bisons right now. So maybe a little bit of that veteran action shining through with the few that they have compared to the Griffins. It'll be interesting to see how they respond here on this side out.
6-2, Bison's leading. Time out there from the Griffins. See if MacEwan has any fight left in them here. They've played much better tonight, Alex, than they did yesterday.
I agree.
MacEwan all around. But they trail in this fifth and deciding set by 4 points, 6-2.
Actually, Brendan Warren now has 6 total blocks after coming in very late in the game. So clearly a great strategic switch up for the Bisons, and Garth Pischke there using his normal starter in the middle to his advantage in this game here.
Linklater with the pass. Weiss, who's just subbed in to set on the double substitution, finds Vrend in the middle. Much needed side out there for MacEwan. And now it will be Hesthammer who will go back to serve. Peters has also checked in the front row. So the Griffins going with a bit of a different look here in this fifth set. Just trying to change the momentum. See if Manitoba can get a side out off the Hesthammer serve. Verkane's pass. They go back outside to him. And he hits the roll shot wide out of bounds. So back-to-back points now for the Griffins. They've closed the gap to just 2 points. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a Pischke timeout if they don't side out here, if it closes to 1.
I'm willing to agree with that there, Jared. He likes to stop the bleeding quick. And especially in a short set like this, you can afford to take an early timeout.
Loeb out of the back row, roll shot down the line. It's back to the Manitoba side. And they go middle to Spiring, and he mishits it, just sort of tips it over the net, and it falls to the floor. That's a tough break there for MacEwan, as they really should have been in control of that rally after that free ball
that
came
free
over.
ball, I think he maybe wasn't expecting it to be so easy. I mean, I've fallen victim to that, where a ball you think is going to have a bit more pace on it, so you already take your step, and then you're already there a little early, and you kind of put it over the net as a free one. So that's a tough break there for the libero on the MacEwan side.
Zachary dug up by Spiring, back to the MacEwan side. They go Zachary again. This time he tips it down the line. Loeb's there to save it. Warren jousts at the net with Zachary. And then some confusion between Spiring and Mandrick, and Pischke throws his clipboard into the stands.
That's a foul ball. That's a little wide of the lines there. I think that made it up about, I
think that's 4 rows deep.
At least. Well, I think the third row's up. You know what? I would love to see who goes up and gets that binder today. And Garth Pischke throwing an apologetic.
Oh, he says, my grip. I didn't have a good grip on that one. I thought I was holding.
Just had popcorn. It's just like Brucey from the Longest Yard remake, and just had popcorn.
Oh no! Oh, and Verkane goes way down low to get that one, and they set him back. But Scott Verkane is just teeing off right now at the moment on the left side.
Hitting the links.
To go back to that play, though, I mean, and I think Spiring knows it, but they switched the block, okay? They switched the blocks. They had Mandrick in position 4 to try to get the bigger block on Zachary. But that doesn't mean you can take, like, Mandrick, he's the setter, right? He's right there. But, I think that's that type of thing, and I alluded to this before, where when Vrend was continuing to block on the right and the Griffins were all out of sorts, you got to wonder how much time is spent at practice working on those situations, right? And reminding yourself that if the ball is dug to the left side of the court, that's where our setter is. I don't need to step in and take it.
Especially, when it's dug from the setter location. Spiring had an autopilot on saying, position 1 dug the ball, that's on me to set the ball now. But I think that's, on both of them, setter Jack Mandrick needs to be screaming for that ball. And maybe even before the play, being like, "Hey, I got hands." Just as a reminder, and everyone knows it. It's
and athletes are so comfortable, right? Because they've done things over and over and over again, which is a good thing. But in situations like that are no longer the norm, right? That's when we need to have that reminder, and it doesn't hurt to just go to a guy and say, right, "Hey, this is what's happening in every single situation." So
and as anybody who's played with me knows, or has coached me, or has watched me play, I always believe in over-communicating is very okay.
Now, I've heard from some of your teammates that it's not.
Well, it's better to have it and not need it than need it not have it, Jared.
Yeah, that's right. No, fair enough.
And I don't know if you'd want to meet a quiet Alex, so it'd be a very interesting sight. So back to the action here, 8-5 Bisons.
Mandrick serve, taken by Zachary. It's passed tight. Weiss goes to get it, and Zachary gets the kill off the arms of Martins.
Not just the single arm, I think. If he would have gone with 2, it might have been a 10-20 butterball.
Off the arm of Martins.
Yeah.
Only put one out there, and I always say if you're going to have one, got to get two. You can reach with one. It's the same range of motion.
While we have a second here, I would like to point out that Garth Pischke has retrieved his clipboard.
Okay.
But I might have to check the tape. I never saw anybody climb up. I think he might have stolen assistant coach Dane Pischke's clipboard just as a prop to make it seem like he didn't absolutely throw his clipboard.
We will
in the
have to
stands.
keep a close eye on row 4 after the match to see if it is fished out by Coach G. Pischke, not D. Pischke.
Yeah.
As Zachary finds the end line for the kill, and now Coach Pischke will call a timeout.
Papa Pischke.
8-7 is the score. One point lead, though, still for the Bisons. Alex Strachan, you're going to be okay here, buddy. Don't worry. You're going to be all right. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Just deep breaths.
All right, yeah.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. All right.
Just some
You're back at it.
tomfoolery up here in the
Yeah,
booth.
you're okay. Don't worry. Everything's all right. Yeah.
All right, so 8-7 for the Bisons here. Not sure what kind of information Pischke has in that clipboard, or whether it's his or not. But,
Well, because we don't know. We didn't see anyone go get it. Now maybe Alex is trying to see if it's down there in the stands, but as we see, Kevin Negus will check back in for John Loeb. And it will be Moeller who will serve for the Griffins. Moeller's serve, passed off the net by DeJonkers. Verkane's going to set high ball to Negus, who's just checked in, and off the bench gets the kill. I think Verkane now goes back to serve. 9-7 is the score.
based on his track record, I'm going to say he puts in a really good serve here.
Started the match off a little slow on the serve, but has picked it up as we've gone along.
Oh, that's
Hits
a
a
great
tough
ball.
serve there, taken by Hesthammer. Back to Zachary, and off the arms of Mandrick and into the crowd, but the Bisons were on the net anyways, so side out Griffins. Zachary goes back to serve, and Zachary has looked much better tonight than yesterday. You're seeing some of that that potential from him. I mean, he was
going into the fifth set, he had 18 kills. I'm not sure how that eluded my eye, but that's a very impressive stat line. He's almost the Karrasin of last night.
Yeah, and his serve clips the tape and falls over for the ace. Negus and Warren and Mandrick all kind of caught off guard. But those balls are so tough. I mean, there's really not much defense you have for those balls.
And you can't really practice for that. It's pretty hard to serve a ball at the tape in such a way all the time. So, I mean, hopefully the boys can side out here.
Outside to Jonker, and that's hit wide. One of the few mistakes he's made in a while, and it's now a 10-9 advantage for the Griffins.
So
and Coach Pischke will call his second and final timeout.
So the Griffins going on quite a run here. I think it was a 6-2 advantage for the Bisons at the last timeout. So they've gone for a pretty good run here to grab a lead late in the fifth set.
Yeah, an 8-3 run now for the Griffins. And said this is a big match. I mean, both teams are really, really battling here, as this could kind of, like I said, I think if you're 0-8, knowing who's coming next 2 weekends, MacEwan, I mean, if you're 0-12 at the Christmas break, I don't know. I don't know if you really, how you come back after Christmas in that situation, feeling positive about your chances.
Absolutely. I mean, no one's a big fan of goose eggs, right? So no one really buys those at the store, so you kind of want to stay away from that.
Yeah, and the Bisons play TRU at TRU next weekend, and they're at home will be a tough game.
Yeah, that baseball team's quite nasty on the sidelines.
Yeah, they can really they can let you have it. There's some good fans out there. It's Verkane out of the back row, dug up by Moeller. Oh, and that's going to be a 2 hits violation on Linklater. Well, that's a
one you got to call that
much
one.
needed break there for the Bisons.
I mean, that's one of those ones that if that doesn't get called, I don't know what would. Great dig, though, by the defense.
It was a great dig, yeah, and it was almost too high. And Linklater in that one, the ball just got too high. As Warren goes back to serve. Hesthammer's pass. Back to Karrasin, and Karrasin overpowers Spiring and Jonker side out, as it will be Liam Huth back to serve for MacEwan. 11-10, Griffins lead. 1 point advantage here as we're approaching the end of this fifth and deciding set. Women's teams are getting real antsy. They're ready to go, so make sure you stick around after the completion of this 5-setter. Jonker swing, dug up by Huth. Moeller outside to Karras. The ball set real tight. Negus puts it down, but it's kept alive. Free ball coming here for Manitoba. Mandrick, middle to Spiring, and Spiring gets the kill.
He's been incredibly efficient tonight out of the middle ball, and that's exactly what you need to do. Get everybody out of the way, let the libero take that ball and get it right to the net for you. So great transition by the Bisons on a really needed point.
11-11 in the fifth. Negus back to serve. His serve taken by Hesthammer. And Karrasin dug up by Mandrick. Martins goes high ball outside to DeJonker, and DeJonker power tip. Kept alive. Karrasin roll shot. Vercaine with the dig. Mandrick. DeJonker. And he finds the hardwood. Big swing there for Adam DeJonker. He's got to be well into the 20s for kills now at this point.
That was quite the attack. Finds right in the middle of that donut. I'm not sure if there's a piece of the block that maybe angled that down, but quite a shot from the fifth year.
1 point lead now for Manitoba, and that is it for timeouts for both teams. Both coaches have exhausted all options, so there will be no more breaks from this point going forward. 12-11 Manitoba. So
maybe I'm expecting over-under 1.5 of the good old shoelace coming undone play.
No, I'm not. No shoelace breaks.
No.
Like maybe yesterday, we actually had an actual
shoelace break.
Yeah. We should ask Laura Finley's up here. We should ask her about
a little interview post-game, pre-game,
about
post-game.
that. Tell us what happened with that shoelace.
Yeah, and didn't you see it coming? Because I have a
was
pair
it
of
frayed?
shoes.
Was it frayed? Did you push the limit?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
did you know better and you just went with it anyways?
Exactly. I mean, that's just lack of discipline on Finley's part. But we'll get to that in the coming match.
So Ryan Bergen has subbed in, presumably for the block here for Mandrick.
Let's hope they line him up on the right so everything stays as normal, as both teams have struggled with the switch-up plays.
And they will. He will block. And they go to Hesthammer. And he hits a sneaky little roll shot. And it lands in front of Martins. Side out Griffins. Karrasin now back to serve. And Mandrick will check back in for Manitoba.
Frees the server a little bit. Gives him time to overthink his play or, pick out exactly where he wants that ball. And I'm going to say he's probably going to go down the line to DeJonker here.
Karrasin's float taken by Vercaine. Nice pass. Mandrick overload to DeJonker. Griffin's got a big piece of it off the block, and then it's Hesthammer on the right. Big swing. Griffin's back on top, 13-12. And once again, with Moeller in the front row, the Griffins are loading up on DeJonker, so let's see if he's able to get a kill. I wouldn't mind going Spiring in the middle here based on the success he's had, but the pass is off the net, sets off the net, but DeJonker powers it through anyways. With now he goes to the back row as we're tied 13-13.
All right, so you got to expect a lot out of Scott Vercaine to finish off this match for the Bisons, as well as
got to be Max Vrend.
Yeah, Max Vrend has got to be the guy for the Griffins here to stop the.
Oh, that looked like it was in.
That's a big point for the Griffins. Great break. At this point in the match, that could be it. That could be the extra point that makes the difference here. Maybe returning the favor over from the second set.
That was very close to the end line, but it was called out. Hesthammer now back to serve. Match point opportunity here for the Griffins. DeJonker with the pass. They go middle to Spiring. He tips it over, and he finds the floor.
That's just a big boy play right there. Seeing the open court, that's one of those ones that in the moment, everyone's dug up on their heels, 51, and there's the open spot.
14-14. We're getting some free volleyball here. Extra points in the fifth set. Spiring back to serve. Manitoba's going to need a stop here. Oh, Zachary, not a great pass. Moeller goes back to him. Mandrick gets a good piece. It goes back onto the Griffins side. They go Zachary again. And again, Jack Mandrick gets a soft block. They go Zachary one more time. This time he's dug by Spiring. Bump set to Negus out of the back row. And he hits a real squeebler. And it falls in front. There's no way he meant to do that. Alex, he did not mean to do that. You cannot tell me he meant to do that.
Jared Brown, if I may.
That was a full swing.
I know. I've been practicing with Kevin Negus for the last 3 years, and that is his bread and butter out of system shot. I'm not lying. His awkward high swing with the roll. It's almost a tip over the block. That was 100% on purpose. The result often it varies, but that shot was intentional.
Okay.
I will.
I don't buy it, but you have a lot more contact point with him than I do, so
Yeah,
I have to defer to you on that one. But we're moving on. It's 15-15. Vren back to serve. Taken by Verkane. Mandrick goes back to him on the left, and he's blocked by Huth and Zachary. And it's match point opportunity now, swung back to the Griffins. It's just back and forth here between these two teams. 16-15, MacEwan. Vrend on the line. Bisons need to side out, or this one will end here. Vrend serve, passed up by Dionkier. They go pipe to Dionkier, and he pounds it down in front of Hesthammer.
And that will be for his 27th kill of the match.
Oh, he's having himself a good weekend, and I said last night that I liked his chances to be the Smitty's Bison's Athlete of the Week, and I think he's more than locked it up.
27 kills with 5 blocks tonight and 9 digs, so that's a pretty good stat line for veteran Adam.
Free ball coming here to the Bisons. Mandrick goes outside to Verkane, and Verkane finds the sideline.
Maybe a little bit of controversy there, as I think I saw Verkane's chest graze the net, and it did wobble a little bit in between the rally there. So, I mean,
interesting.
Now that's what the Griffins are asking for right now.
The second match point now for the Bisons. The Griffins have had 2, and now this is the second for Manitoba. Mandrick serve, taken by Hesthammer. Outside, Zachary, soft block. Dionkier, diving save. Martins chases it down, goes sliding into the bleachers, but can't come up with it. And we're tied now 17-17.
You can just see the drive in both teams here. A ball like that, Dionkier going from coast to coast to get that ball. Unsuccessful, but both teams are just really hungry for this win. And first to 2 points here, or advantage of 2 points, takes it home. So
Moeller serve, taken by Martins. Mandrick goes back to Verkane, and Verkane hits it way long. No touch. Match point opportunity number 3 now for the Griffins.
And no timeouts, as you said. I mean, both coaches probably, kicking themselves a little bit for calling those early timeouts as it's going to extras here. But, this is really just got to grit it out, see what the boys got.
Pass by Dionkier, bump set back to Verkane, and Verkane's roll shot dug up by Moeller. It's going to be a bump set to Zachary, and Zachary soft blocked, covered by Hesthammer. Karrason right side, and that'll do it. The Griffins get their first win of the season, 19-17.